There we go. My apologies. I'm trying to get everything situated. I am so grateful to be back in my space and place. Let me know if y'all can hear me okay. I'm about to tap in and see if I can hear myself and what it sounded like. All right, we sounding good. All right, we sounding good. Okay, that's not too bad. It's a little muffled. It's not super bad. My apologies. So we're gonna get started with the planetary forecast. Buenos dias. Good day, grand rising to everybody. First and foremost, thank y'all so much for tapping in. And for those of you guys, if this is your first time tapping in, welcome to the planetary forecast. What I do here during the planetary forecast is I talk to you guys about where the planets are, what the planets are doing, and what kind of electromagnetic field that creates for you in your space and place. And that's fun. So we're gonna get started. We're talking about the sun placement. As we all know, right now the sun is most definitely in Virgo energy. I like to touch like Chinese zodiac, Vedic zodiacs, not zodiac, Vedic astrology, Chinese astrology, Arabic astrology. Also try to touch Latin as much as I can as I'm, gathering on knowledge. We know that a lot of that knowledge is hidden. Um, yeah, I just try to get into all the different, spaces and places. Neptune Letter is the first like literature we're going to read over to talk about Virgo season. So, with the letters, there is a proper time and place for everything. Peace, peace. Thank you, and welcome to the planetary forecast. Um, there is a proper time and place for everything. We get into the proper time and place for daily activities. When you rise up on your head each and every hour of the day, as we do for Father Rob. This is a reference to the planetary hours. A great deal of confusion has arisen from the fact that most researchers into metaphysics have failed to note that most metaphysical references to planets refer not to the celestial bodies themselves, but to the modalities of the life force which they symbolize. And it's not just symbolizing, too, as we get into physics, we know that everything has its own electromagnetic field, everything has its own vibration, frequency, and so on and so forth. And that's why these I guess, quote unquote, symbols can be felt. The moon corresponds to the cooling, hence moisturizing state of the life force, the sun to the hot, hence drying state, and so on. These planetary modalities dominate each hour of the day. Each day begins at sunrise with the planet that gives its name and quality. Following the tree of life, the planetary spheres 3 to 9. Saturday begins with Saturn ruling the first hour from sunrise, followed for an hour each by Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, and back to Saturn, etc. So today is Thursday. That means we started our first hour off with Jupiter. Um, for those who are interested, and we just been going off by the hour thing. So now that we're in our ninth hour, we're at no, we're at our hour. I don't want to lie to y'all. Hold on. Because it's 9:23 where I am. I don't know what time it is where you are, but you have to go by your hour. That's why I hate daylight savings time. It's so weird. I don't know what that's about. You know what that makes me feel when I get into my like outlandish theories? I think that Earth is actually all the planets. And that's why we have to ride on an airplane to go from plan it to plan it. Because how is it a ET at the end of something is saying that it's like either extraterrestrial or like small, right? Where are you at? I'm in Jersey. Oh yeah, and for those of you that were checking in, I'm safe. The tornado was literally like across the street. My mom had it on the phone. It was crazy. But I'm safe. I was just like one with the weather, and I took a shower and went to sleep because I don't watch TV. I didn't know that was happening, and I got my tornado warning like super late. But anyway, thankfully I made it and I didn't wake up dead because I don't watch TV. um, yeah, so we started the day off in the Jupiter hour, right? Because today's Thursday. So we got Saturn at 1, Uranus at 2, Neptune at 3, Pluto at 4. Then we come back to the Sun at 5, Mercury at 6, Venus at 7, Mars at 8. So now we're back at Jupiter at 9. So we're back into like the ninth hour. Am I into flat Earth? You know what I be thinking of? I don't think of the flat Earth more so because we also have an electromagnetic field, which kind of like rounds us out. Not necessarily a sphere, but the electromagnetic field does give us a round. Just like I'm not flat. I'm not flat, but I do have a roundness to myself. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And if everything is as above, so is below, or inward and outward, then I am definitely a reflection of the earth. So I have curves on both sides of myself. That doesn't make me flat, but it also doesn't make me a sphere. And I would think that the earth will be the same way, especially when you get into the layers of earth and how you have certain layers. If you go deep enough, you're going to reach another ocean. And if you go deep enough, you're going to reach another air pocket and another ocean and more dirt and air pocket. And it's just layers and layers and layers of that. And that's how it is with our bodies, right? You get down to the layers of the epidermis. You get down to the layers of the cells, the bones, and all that fun stuff. So, like, that'd be like my outlandish ideas for that. But all that to say that I recognize the fact that I know nothing because I haven't been there. But right now we're back into our Jupiter hour. So that's kind of cool. Well, divine timing that we started. We're back into our Jupiter hour, which is our hour of justice. Our hour of creating law tradition, which the planetary forecast is a seasonal tradition that I do. And yeah, I would love to know your theory. If you want to type it out, I'll definitely read it out loud because I'm on multiple platforms right now. I'm on YouTube. I'm on a bunch of Facebook pages. I'm on Twitter right now. So like, definitely type out your theory on the shape of the Earth, and we can get into that too as well. Especially in this Virgo season where it's all about communication and teaching and learning, right? We're definitely tapping into that energy. And also it's all about paying attention to details. I completely lost my page that I was doing this on, but it's all right. But all that is to let you know that there is indeed a time and place for everything. And there's an hour for everything, and you start the hour off with the day of the week it is. So it's best to get in and tapped into the hour and all that. An abundance of life force, which is acquired through proper diet, adequate exercise, and the avoidance of sensual excess, is required for developing the strength to live truth. The implications of this fact are that as long as people are kept ignorant of how to cultivate their life force, and worse, kept indulging in a lifestyle characterized by the wrong diet, sexual excesses, etc., they will never intuit, understand, or find strength to live truth. Society must then be doomed to ever deepening decadence. Salvation, they teach, can supposedly be achieved by asking for God's forgiveness after a life of debauchery, which is not how it works because you're in charge of your heaven or hell, and heaven or hell is within you. So if you are out here doing whatever you want and you think you could just ask God for forgiveness and keep doing whatever you want, you're still going to accumulate that karma, you're still going to accumulate that energy, etc., etc. So it doesn't work that way. Asking for God's forgiveness, you have to learn that God is within you. So if you're asking yourself for forgiveness and you're still doing the nonsense, you can't be upset when you start attracting people who think that all they have to do is say sorry to you and they can keep going on with their nonsense in your life because that's how you're treating yourselves and that's how you're treating the God in you. Ashe. So moving on from that. So when we get into the specific times and place for all things after we have exited like the hours of things, we're going to get into the nodes, right? So from August 5th to September 21st, wow, my partner up. my child's father, not my partner, but he's my partner in a sense. But yeah, he has the vacuum water on his car. Anyway, the southwest is the spiritual direction during this time, and that's from August 5th to September 21st. And the hours of prayer are from 3 p.m. to sunset during this time. And you want to focus on Sebek, and we'll get into the energy of Sebek momentarily. But your parasympathetic, although it is still underground, which is your moist, your emotional self, which usually comes out in the wintertime when we're ready to hibernate, etc., etc. We're still dealing with our dry selves as we come into the transition of summertime into fall. Got you? A lot of times this dry self can be misinterpreted, especially because we allow Hollywood to guide us spiritually. We have allowed this entity to guide us spiritually, and this entity is actually a reverse of what's righteous. You know what I'm saying? So in the summertime, we have been taught through music and television and film, which is indoctrination programming. Get into Pavlov if you don't know about it. But we're being taught that this season is a season to where we'll engage into excessive sexual activity. We'll, eat a lot of sweets. The summertime is not a time to eat sweets. So all of you guys that were indulging in funnel cakes and ice creams and things like that, you guys were actually doing the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. During this time, it's time to indulge in a lot of water-based fruits and vegetables. If you were into like lettuces and cucumbers and watermelon, I literally ate watermelon all summer. I barely ate anything else. But yes, and when I spoke to a lot of people who were on the path, whether knowing or unknowingly, they also were on the same wavelength of eating just watermelon for the most part. Even my 7-year-old, who actually put me into alignment, he only eats watermelon. And I used to get upset, like, bro, eat these french fries. But now I realize, like, I'm in the wrong. I shouldn't be forcing french fries on anybody or on myself. That's not okay. Eat the watermelon. It's all right. Go ahead and just eat that fruit if that's all you want to eat. That's okay. That means that you were just in alignment with how your diet was supposed to be for this season. The excessive sexual energy is actually a misinterpretation of your root chakra and sacral chakra energy. As during the summertime, this is the time where we should be gardening. We should be creating all these events that were curated, all this music that was created, art, etc., etc. That is what we're supposed to be doing with our creative energy, not overindulging in sexual activity, overindulging in a bunch of sweets and salty snacks, overindulging in that type of electromagnetic energy altogether. All that does something to us and is reversing our natural magnetic energy. But now that we are becoming aware of it, it is best to us to get along with it. You know what I'm saying? So, coming back, I do my spirals. That's something that you have to get accustomed to, because I do come from a teaching background, and I feel like in order for y'all to understand where I'm at, you got to understand where I'm coming from. So every now and then I might have like a side spiral conversation so y'all understand the building blocks that led up to the statement that I just gave y'all. But we're dealing with the Southwest from August 5th to September 21st, and it's 3 p.m. to sunset. And your parasympathetic, which is your moist and wet and your emotional system, although it is still underground, it has cooled down your body. So we're coming into the fall season, and it's coming in with the assistance of the waning sun. We're dealing with the waning sun right now. So we've been dealing with the moon phases a lot, but a lot of us don't like to talk about the sun phases. The sun comes in phases as well. It just takes a little bit longer. We have divvied up those things into 4 seasons, but it's actually deeper than that. Ashe is levels to the 4 seasons. Right now we're in the waning sun. So our sun is starting to disappear. Just the way the moon would, right? Ashe. The cold and dry state of your vehicle makes this point in the cycle most auspicious for those activities that require inflexible pedantry, which is dry and cold activities, such as trading, accounting, etc. Ironically, I'm getting back into my routine with getting back into my stocks, my routine with getting back into Forex, because all summer I was able to make my funds and create, monetary funds with creative energy. But now that my creative energy will soon be coming into hibernation, because, the sun is, dissipating and we're solar beings, it's time to start making passive income and start starting to get into with that passive income. It's by design that during the wintertime, you guys are ready to hibernate and you guys don't want to come outside and things like that. And because we still need to have a certain level of currency to survive here, which I am totally in disagreement with. I hate it. Whenever y'all ready to come into the conversation where we no longer need money on the level that we're needing it and utilizing it on, let me know. And then eventually we can work to getting to a way where we can eradicate this mindset altogether, because this really is a mindset. The physical only it exists because we still believe in it. The moment that we collectively stop believing in it, it'll stop existing. And I'm a big fan of bartering. So if you guys know about Less Nobodies, know that we barter. So if you need something, want something, bartering is there. Anyway, moving on. So during this time is definitely a time to get into passive income. It's definitely a good time to start taking up, for those of you who have children, nieces or nephews, start creating a routine with them as far as education goes. I spent this summer unlearning so much, because last year, I have a 15-year-old, but ever since my 15-year-old was in kindergarten, preschool, I have always given him additional homework to what he was already doing in school, because they weren't really doing anything in school anyway. For many years, my son wasn't even bringing homework home, and he wasn't really doing anything in school except keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. It's been times when my bonus daughter had called the house crying because she was like, I don't want to learn this again. I'm tired of learning this over and over again. Come get me. Like, my kids have cried out, and embarrassingly so. It took many years for me to finally gain the courage to respond to the cries about them being in school. But during this time, I had to unlearn a lot that I thought that was necessary being in school, but realizing a lot of that is them bullshitting our kids' time with movies, assemblies, repeating the same information over and over again, just sitting there reading books, just sitting there indulging in busy work activities, packets, substitutes. The teachers aren't even showing up. Movie day, all this stuff. This is all this stuff just to say that your child was in school for a certain amount of hours and a certain amount of days a year. And at the end of the day, my child knows what he needs to know, and we're going to learn and grow on the things that he needs to learn and grow on. And that's as far as we're going. We're not doing no more bullshit stuff with our time and our energy. You feel me? And I had to unlearn a lot of that, because in my mind, I'm like, they got to be in school Monday through Friday, 7 to 3, both of them. How do I do this? Because I have a 15-year-old and a 7-year-old. And no, that's not what has to happen at all. Not what has to happen at all. Me and my child, we read books. I'm in my 30s and I'm still learning, and I still have school time with myself. So to say that my child has to know everything by the time he's 18 is unrealistic and ridiculous. So for you guys who are dealing with insecurities and hesitation because of what you've been indoctrinated with, as far as how you guys think that the school system should go, I'm here to tell you to unlearn all that shit and trust in the God in you, and stop, overindulging in this God and these other entities, because the God in them is causing our children to do things ass backwards, and is further indoctrinating them to where when they come home, we have to make them unlearn everything they're learning. You know what I'm saying? We have to correct everything they did for the last 8 to 10 hours. Ashe? We can stop that cycle by just pulling our children out and teaching them what we feel best. And we already have so many Aboriginal, indigenous owned businesses that there is already a workforce out here for our children to enter into upon adulthood, if that's what needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? So you guys being afraid, what if my child doesn't get into college? Well, there's so many of us. Why don't we create our own colleges, our own higher education systems? Why don't we teach our children a higher education now? What about our kids getting into the workforce? Why are you homeschooling your children to push them back into that world when so many of us are entrepreneurs and business owners and franchise owners where we can employ our children now? We don't have to keep pushing our children out into this other matrix, this other electromagnetic field that they don't belong in, that they're dying in, that they're getting killed in, that they're being bullied in, that they're enduring hate crimes in. We keep pushing them back out into this world, keep convincing ourselves that that's where they need to be. And I don't understand why, but we don't have to do that. We don't need their recognition. We don't need their money. We don't need their schools. We don't need their businesses. We don't need anything that they have. We have the God in us to create our own. And during this season, as we learn to communicate with one another, we tap into this Mercurian energy. I know it'll be in my intentions to keep implementing that information to y'all and keep building up the God in y'all so y'all can have the confidence y'all need to do things a whole lot faster than it took me. You know what I mean? But during this time, it's definitely a good time to get into like developing that passive income. Start developing a routine with the young ones around you, whether they're your nieces or nephews, they're your neighbors. It doesn't matter. Let's just tap into that energy. And this is also a time to take your nervines and respiratory system remedies. Because as we know, even like being present with the way like society is going right now, we know that we have flu season, we have common cold season, and now we have like this COVID thing going in and out, and we don't really know. Let's just all be honest and say that we don't know. Nobody knows the truth. We all have our theories. We all have our theories behind people's motives and intentions. And at the end of the day, we just don't know. So regardless of what they're doing and what's going on with them and why they're doing what they're doing, you need to trust the God in you and trust the God in what God made. And go ahead and take your respiratory remedies during the season, because without COVID, we still have the cold, we still have flu season, we still have these bacteria and germs that come to attack our respiratory system as the air changes. You get what I'm saying? We're coming out of a warm air into a cold air. So what's going to happen is that bacteria and those germs that are accustomed to living in that warm air are looking for a warm place to go. And guess how hot your body is? Your body is close to 100 degrees. So where are they going to try to go? They're going to try to go into your air pockets so that they can live within you while it's winter time. You know what I'm saying? So it's best to prepare your body now. Go ahead, get your sea moss, your elderberry syrups, etc., etc. And if you need a place to go, if you need a medicine person, please reach out to me. If you're looking for recipes or a shopping list, I am a certified herbalist. So you can come to me. I can create some recipes for you guys to go shopping with and creating your teas and your syrups, etc., etc. I got you. But this is a good time to do those things. So moving into the season, as far as the netter for the season, remember we said we were moving into the energy of Sebek. Sebek is equivalent to the Kemetic Anpu. And if you're referring to the Canaanites, it's Raphael, the angel. And in Kabbalistical religion, with the Kabbalah, we're dealing with Had. In Yoruba religion, we're dealing with Elegba or Eshu, my favorite. If you guys are familiar with Juju music, you know I call out on my Orishas. And in Hindu Kush, we're dealing with Matangi. This deals with the 8th sphere in the tree of life. And to get into the netters as far as the 8th sphere goes, let me let y'all know. I want to let y'all know as much as I can let y'all know, because it's important for y'all to know, right? It's definitely important for y'all to know. So the 8th sphere, in terms of manifestation, is it focuses on the differences between things. The previous families are further divided, and this is where species are introduced. So the 8th sphere of life deals with like celestial workers taking shape. The celestial workers making distinctions that distinguish each member of a species from another by creating variations. So when you get into like the Virgo season or Virgo energy, we know that Virgos are very detail oriented, right? They pay attention to details. They're analytical, but when there's an imbalance there, they can be over analytical, over judgmental, pay attention to too much detail, start seeing patterns where they don't exist, or start seeing too much where they can kind of like create things, because this is the earth energy. So they do have the power to manifest when they're too tapped into that analytical energy. And that has become the energy of our overall selves. We have become so tapped in with individuality and people's different flavors that we have forgotten to go past this fear to the next one that says, hey, even though you guys have all these different differences to the point where each individual is a fingerprint, each organelle to your body is a fingerprint, each cell to that organelle is a fingerprint, you guys are still all one. What happens if the cells in your body decides to say, hey, I don't like them cells over there by the nose. Like, fuck them niggas. They be doing too much. They too dark over there. You know, we don't like them. We gonna go over there and commit hate crimes, da da da. My body would die. My body would die if a group of my cells decided to hate another group of cells and decided to start a war. My body would begin to deteriorate. My body would begin to die. Feel me? So it's the same thing. Pretend like you person, you are a cell of an organelle. If you're going out here with this certain kind of electromagnetic energy or this certain kind of vibe about yourself, you are creating destruction to another cell of an organelle. You are, allowing the body that we are a part of to disintegrate with the pollution, with the things that we put inside of our body, and we think we're just peacefully shitting and pissing and burping and spitting out, and we're not. The things that we're putting into our body and we're breathing out, and we think that it's peace. It's not peace, because these plants out here are breathing in what we breathe out. And if you're breathing out poison, you're poisoning these plants. Again, that is another attack. That's another attack of a cell of an organelle on another cell of an organelle. And then in addition to that, I know that we are all one body, but just like the head has a head, a toe has a toe. What would happen if your head cell, your brain cells was like, you know what, fuck it. We hate the brain up here. We ain't trying to keep being around only the brain cells. We don't want to just be around ourselves. We're going to go and chill with the cells over by the knee. What would happen? The body would begin to decay and die. That's not where the brain cells are supposed to be. The brain cells are supposed to be up here. The knee cells are supposed to be down there. It's a time and place for everything. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing that we doing. Y'all decide not to go where y'all supposed to be. Y'all decide to go where y'all not supposed to be. Y'all doing things y'all not supposed to be doing. Y'all replicating in areas y'all not supposed to be replicating. Guess what? You're adding to the decay of the body. And we've allowed Hollywood to indoctrinate us with this lingo, with this vernacular of separatism, racism, giving us all these different labels to sexuality, to races, to diversity, and has created such an imbalance in this eighth sphere of life to where we're overindulging and becoming one, or we're underindulging in our differences. You know what I'm saying? But there needs to be a balance in the sphere, because when you get into the metanetters, you will learn that this eighth sphere is where man's ills lie. This is where we keep falling ill. This is where we keep falling sick, because we don't know how to say, hey, you're different from me in so many ways, and I still bang with you, but I can't do everything with you. You get what I'm saying? We are still lacking that level of discernment. We're still lacking that level of love, that level of ability to coexist with people instead of forcing integration. But all that must happen. And whether you like it or not, whether you want to put your energy towards that happening or not, the universe is going to push for it to happen anyway. Why? Because what do you do when your cells decide to do whatever they want to do? What do? You do what you got to do to make yourself well. You do what you got to do to make yourself heal. Right or wrong? Right. But you never pay attention to the specific things that you're doing to these cells and these organelles and these organs and things like that when you're healing. But to them, you're causing turmoil. They're wondering, why am I surrounded by this elderberry right now? Why is this sea moss all over me? Why is this stuff happening? They feel like there's turmoil happening when in reality, it's you healing your body. So while we're outside thinking, oh, God is trying to kill us. God is doing this. God is doing that. Why is all these things happening in the universe? Why are the planets aligning like this for this to happen? Well, what does the body of God is doing the same thing our bodies do when we're sick. We're going to do what we got to do to be well. And if it's at your expense, then that's what it needs to fucking happen. Right or wrong? You have to, start looking within yourself. Grand Rising. Welcome to the Planetary forecast, sis. You have to start learning to look within yourself and start realizing how your body operates, how your cells and your organelles operate, so you can appreciate the way the cells and the organelles of the universe are operating, and how they're going to operate whether you're in alignment or not. It's still going to happen for you. You know what I'm saying? So coming back, because we were talking about the eighth sphere, this planet, the planet Mercury, rules over this energy. We'll get into the energy of Mercury momentarily. The day of Virgo season is Wednesday, which is also associated with Mercury. The color during the season is saffron, which is like I believe that's like a burgundy color, as well as red and black. Those are the colors for the season. Red being the color of passion, and black being the color of all colors of unity. And if you get into it, you will know that Virgo is actually an accumulation of all signs and symbols, as Virgo energy is in servitude of all signs and symbols, so they're able to um, empathize with all signs and symbols. Um, the number during the season is number 3, which is the number of creativity. The gems during the season is emerald, that green emerald. Um, and the time of year is the sidereal full moon in Gemini, as well as Virgo, as both of those energies are ruled by Mercury. As far as herbalism goes, during this time to have in your baths, the best things to have in your baths during this time are arbre camino. Let me see if I wrote it. Sometime ahead of time. So I've been doing the planetary forecast for a few years now, and I just like started writing my notes, and I'll just go back to my old notes now whenever I talk about the overall season, and then I make like updated notes for the actual planetary forecast. But anyway, so your bath during this time is Abre Camino, Arasa Contodo, oregano, lavender, and larkspur. These are great things to have in your bath, and most of these herbs deal with your respiratory system, cleansing out mucus, providing clarity during this decision making era, because we know Virgo energy is very much rooted in decision making energy and communicating and teaching and learning. In addition to that, oils to have in your space, on your body, etc., are lavender and lily of the valley, which again brings clarity and is very good for your respiratory system. Incense during this time, again, lavender and lily of the valley, same reason. Um, our mantras or our word of power during the season is Ang. I'm sorry, it's Ang, which is AING. So when you're meditating during this time, tap in. Maybe you want to do it on a Wednesday. At what did we say the auspicious time was? 3 p.m. till sunset. And you want to sit under the sun while the sun is in waning position. And you want to say, yeah. So that's what you do. Once upon a time, like a couple years ago, I would be so embarrassed to do that. But I really wanted y'all to hear and show and understand. So it's AING. If you want to speak into the planetary of Mercury, if you're into, you want to direct your energy straight to Mercury, which is what I like to do because I don't feel like I'm from this planet. Is on, bring, brong. So you have AUNG, which is on. Then you have BRANG, which is bring. Then you have BRING, which is actual bring. And then you have brong, which is BRAUNG. So when you combine those sounds together, you have like a direct communication with Mercury energy. The spiritual direction during this time is the northeast, and the mundane direction is the south. Through its action on the kabit, the animal spirit, which is your lower self, the cool and dry energy of Mercury makes the personality sphere 9, which is when we get into, after you got done deciphering and separating people in sphere 8, we're still in the celestial self of sphere 9, but we're bringing everything together. That comes back into what I was telling y'all, how we need to learn how to recognize that everybody's a fingerprint, and you can't do everything with everybody. Learn how to compartmentalize people just as our cells in our body does. But in addition to that, also learn that this all still makes one body, just as our cells in our body does, which is what sphere 9 brings you to: completion, ending, beginning, rebirth, all that fun stuff. Okay, I got you. So yeah. Emotional traits during this time, whether you are ruled by Mercury or not, you're still going to either come into contact with this energy or feel this energy upon yourself. Get into what your sun sign is. As we talk about the sun sign, know that this is the earth sun sign. So if you are a fire sign, you will find yourself becoming more grounded in this energy. You want to take the time to allow the grounding to happen. This is a time to slow down. My earth and I mean not my earth, my fire and my air signs. This is the time to slow down. You'll feel yourself feeling anxious, maybe a little bit of irritable, because if you have difficulty dealing with transitions, you'll find a difficulty in dealing with this transition as it does cause you to slow down. But it's a little bit easier than Taurus season because Taurus energy is fixed, where this is still an adaptable energy. So still a little bit flexible, but it will cause you to slow down and ground yourself if you haven't done so during the summertime. In addition to that, if you are a water sign, this is also a sign that's going to cause you to ground yourself and ground your emotions, become analytical in yourselves in that area for all three of you energies. If you're an earth sign, you're probably like just living your best life and still going about your slow and steady selves. If you are a Taurus energy, you're probably being forced to speed up a little bit, but it's still within your speed zone. If you are a Capricorn energy, it's probably causing you to slow down a little bit and learn how to sit to the sideline instead of being on the front line. And that's all right. But during this time, you're going to be enduring or dealing with or exhibiting some sharp and witty vernacular, being fond of traveling. Maybe you want to travel during this time. Critical, but in a positive way. Able to share separate issues based on externals. Loquacious, diplomatic, cold and pedantic, logical minded, highly dependent on information and communicative. Negatively critical. Oh, and the negative traits during the season are negatively critical, busybody, opinionated, in constant belief, pretending to know yet ignorant, mischief maker, gossiper, scheming, cunning, argumentative, proud, sly, lying, and selfish. So my earth signs out there, I know a lot of us like to respond automatically with the I know what you're talking about, I know, and you don't know. So during this time is definitely a good time to hone in on that energy. Start being accountable for the things that you communicate when you communicate them in that moment. Don't be ashamed to like over communicate if you need to, just to get in the habit of being accountable for your words, being accountable for your character. Ashe. Um, Mental traits during this time, segregative thinking, as we're tapped into that A sphere, learning of separating people, labeling, again, coming back into that separation of people, defining the verbal clothing of what is known, felt, and perceived, logic and imitation. Social correspondences, quick-witted people you're going to run into. If you are fire energy, and you run into these quick-witted people, please do not take it internally. Just know that that is the energy of the season and go on about your business. Because fire signs may be especially triggered during the season. Good learners from mere observation, even without a teacher. Career functions. The career functions on the forefront at this time are so-called intellectuals, scholars, academians, students, teachers, ambassadors, astrologers, mathematicians, clerks, technicians, inexperienced lawyers, preachers, teachers, traders, young men, office workers, printers, schemers, schemes, such as scammer, financial scammers, thieves, journalists, good speakers, diplomats, politicians, and specialists. Spiritual functions, however pragmatic and necessary for the manipulation of physical phenomenon, the mastery of definitions, names, and descriptions, the fundamental elements of our education does not constitute knowledge. Reality, proceeding with awareness of this limitation will bring us good fortune. Proceeding without awareness of this limitation will bring misfortune, of course. We speak glibly of the person coming into being in the third month of gestation, the life arising out of the chance of coming together of non-living particles in the same breath that we give better odds to a random assortment of 800,000 words and definitions on index cards being tossed in the air and falling in alphabetical order. And with pride, we call ourselves scientists. So let's be mindful of speaking without knowledge, which is how I started this video. We spoke on the flat earth theory, and I said what my theory was, but then in the end, I am so much aware of myself that I am able to say with pride that I don't know. I don't know. All I know is my thoughts, my theories, and my downloads. And honestly, everybody has their own thought, theory, and download, which you are welcome to. That's what the God in you allows you to have, your own download. And if we are in charge of our realities, and your reality tells you that is one thing, and your reality, it is valid. In my reality, my ideals are valid as well. And that is the power of tapping into this eighth and ninth sphere. To know that your reality is valid and my reality is valid as well, and they both contribute to a larger reality. They're both just as important. And that's one thing that us, I don't like to call us little people because I'm not a little person, but I think a lot of you guys look at yourself as little people. And I don't like that shit. None of y'all are little people. And if y'all were so little, there wouldn't be bigger people that needed you guys so much for their existence and for their indoctrinations and ideals and theories to remain alive. So if you think you're a little person, stop doing that shit. I don't like that. And you shouldn't like that either. Physiologically speaking, Mercury governs the functions of the motor and sensory nerves. Pathologically speaking, your nervous irritability, asthma, bronchitis, work on your breathing during this time, and any speech impediments you may have as we're dealing with the communication season. Comedic therapies during this time deal with your nervous system as well as your respiratory system. Chinese medicines during this time deal with your lungs and your large intestine system and wind disease patterns. So that's what we have for our Metu Netter book. Now we're going to move into Virgo season on a paganistic level. Is paganistic even a word? I don't know. We've already touched Druidism a bit with the herbs. And we're going to get into the Kabbalah. So I want to read what the mindset of the Kabbalah is as far as how the astrology is treated in this walk of life. So we do not study astrology so we can learn how to draw up people's horoscopes. On the contrary, the purpose of Kabbalistic astrology is to rise above the influences of the cosmos and take control of our own lives, which is what the purpose of this planetary forecast is if you have not already tapped in and realized what my purpose is. The zodiac sign in which we are born transmits to us all the negative and positive traits that we need to affect our own transformation. However, the signs of the zodiac are not the cause of our personality traits. They are the effect of our personality traits. You know what I'm saying? Our karma from our previous lives determines which sign we need to be born under in order to acquire the necessary traits and attributes that will allow us to correct and transform previous negative activity. I want y'all to tap into y'all shadow work. Tap into your sun energy. Figure out, learn about your personality traits, your positive and negatives, and realize and think about the skills that you have developed from this zodiac energy. And maybe tap into your karma from your previous life. Now, why would I be given such traits? What was going on in my previous life that made me lead up to needing these remedies? You know what I'm saying? Because just like I told you earlier, when your body is sick, what do? They give you the remedies. So your energy was sick, and you've been born into the remedies. So why were you given these remedies to begin with? What are you going to utilize them for? What do they prepare you for? Prepare yourself for the next life. You know what I'm saying? All right, moving on. The zodiac is merely the mechanism that the soul uses to ensure that a particular quality is infused into it at birth. The patriarch Abraham was the first Kabbalistic astrologer some 3,800 years ago. He wrote a book known as the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the book of formation. Contained within it are all secrets of the universe, including knowledge in astrology and cosmology. If you guys live in the Philly or Jersey area, or if you guys follow me on these pages, eventually there will be a subscription service to the website, which you'll see at the bottom. Subscribe to letsnovicecollection.com. We will begin reading this book together. We will begin unlocking this energy together so that there's more of a synergy vibe when we do these planetary forecasts. Ashe. As we delve into the Kabbalistic astrology right away, we find one significant difference between it and conventional astrology. Kabbalistic astrology uses different calendars, while conventional astrology is based on the solar or Gregorian calendar. Kabbalistic astrology uses the Hebrew calendar, which takes into no account which takes into account the positions of both the sun and the moon. Each month, we have the ability to take control over our astrological influences of the month. The Kabbalah centers around the world, offers new moon connections, featuring meditation and wisdom to teach you how to take control of the consciousness of that month. So basically what I'm going to do right now is give you the tools you need, the information you need to take control of the consciousness during this zodiac season. Okay? This season we are dealing with the Virgo energy, which is Elul, E-L-U-L. This is the month of Elul, and it's the completion of the lunar year. This month corresponds to the sign Virgo, which is an earth sign and is ruled by Mercury. The sign of Virgo is connected to the practicality, working, and serving others. People born in this month feel the need to achieve financial security through working and also have a great need to serve society. People under the sign of Virgo find success in community careers, such as doctors, nurses, or any profession healing the body and the soul as social workers, service technicians, bankers, accountants, and in professions of beauty and fashion. The end of the lunar year expresses the Virgo's need to check and criticize their actions, like a businessman that reviews the year-end balance, profit, and loss. This is how Virgos acquire their attribute to criticism, overthinking, overjudgment, over analytical skills, because this is what the moon causes us to do at the end of its phase, is to reflect. It is easier to criticize and see what is wrong with others, but much harder to criticize oneself. And this is the real lesson Virgo should learn. I am my own biggest critic, so I don't know how y'all feel. When is the correction of the Virgo complete? When they learn to love, honor, and accept the other person as they are without criticism, judgment, or trying to change them to their own criteria. Once the Virgo achieves completely unconditional love, they have finished their correction. Mercury in Hebrew is Kochav. The numerology value is Kaf, which is 26 and 22. And the 22 letters of Hebrew alphabet, which indicates that Mercury is the planet of communication. Financially, it is not an easy month. Many important changes might happen as this is a transition month. The need for new business ventures, different ones with new consciousness, international business connections can take place. There is also a large incident of immigration in this month where more people find the need to leave their homelands in order to go to new places, looking for luck, and to change their lives. This is definitely a good time to be a nomad during this time, right before the winter months come in. Also in the midst of hurricane season, tornado season. This is during the time where we reach those peaks of extreme weathers before we come into our winter months. So this is awesome time to be nomadic. In personal relationships, there are more international connections and meetings, which means there is more openness to go out of the family circle, tribe, tradition to meet new and different people and nations. There is a greater inclination to widen and enlarge the metaphysical vessel in order to better understand through Kabbalistic understanding the meaning of life in both personal and global realms. So that's what we have for the Virgo energy in terms of the Kabbalah. As far as the sign goes, this is a woman carrying a sheaf, the symbolism of wisdom, the beginning of the harvest season and fertility. Virgo energy will help anyone in any situation. It is said they are servers, but they also enjoy serving, very analytical, problem solvers, excellent memories, and can be very judgmental. They are very polite and have a way of handling others. The Virgin represents their modesty and humanity. I have been screaming from the rooftops that Mary, the Virgin, that you guys love calling her a virgin and making a joke about the Virgin. She's not a virgin. She is a Virgo. Virgo. Like, Jesus is a Pisces. You know what I'm saying? He was the master of manipulation, of magic, of tapping into dualities, and he did so. That's why he was able to talk to the thieves and the prostitutes, and he was able to go above and beyond and reach the energies of the priests and the politicians and things. She was a Virgo, the virgin. She was not a virgin. Obviously, she had a baby. Anyway, moving on. Carnelian is a great stone during this time. Carnelian has been used for luck in ancient times. It is worn to enhance passion, love, and desire. It also helps clear the mind of unwanted thoughts, helps focus, and increases motivation. Chrysoberyl I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Chryssoberyl. I know I wasn't pronouncing it right, but this is a protection stone and assists with success and confidence. It also inspires creativity. Obsidian is also a good stone at this time. It helps bring connectedness between intelligence and intuition, and also assists with communication. Red jasper is a good stone for this time. A determination stone that gives Virgos persistence. They need to achieve their goals. Aventurine is a good stone of opportunity and luck. Helps relieve stress and builds confidence and improves creativity. So the stones, basically the colors during this time that you want to have during this time are red, which is good for your root chakra, building up that passion, etc. Black stones, which is good for that protection and grounding in this earth energy. And green stones, because we about our pinnacles and it's all about manifestation. And our green stones definitely bring that abundance, okay? Moving on. This Virgo energy is to the 150 to the 180th degree of the zodiac. The Virgo constellation is from September 16th to October 30th. And this energy teaches one the value of being mindful, practical, serving, reliable, analytical, and problem solving, and mastering health. So for those of you that get confused with the dates, there's a difference between the sun being in the Virgo zodiac and the Virgo constellation actually being on the forefront. And then the moon is always in Virgo constellation, like every month. And we'll get into the moon forecast momentarily. But two different groups of dates. Virgo zodiac, we actually dealt with the sun entering in Virgo on the 22nd this year, but usually you see it 23rd, but this year was the 22nd. And then the Virgo constellation comes into the forefront, September 16th. So the sixth ruling house, because Virgo rules over the sixth house, and this deals with work, health, service, disputes, litigation, debts, enemies, losses, work ethic. The sun in this position helps one pay attention to details, break things down, fixate on health and issues, pay attention to matters of self-improvement. Physical and psychological weaknesses may come to light also, so adjustments can be made. So you're definitely going to be tested in this area as far as your health goes. You're going to be tested, and your emotional well-being and psychological well-being. This is definitely going to be the month where things are going to happen to see how far you have gotten throughout the year, because we're coming into the closing moon, right? And we're coming into the sun dissipating. So now we're coming into that space and place like, okay, what have you learned this year? What have you gained about yourself and about others, because you should have been paying attention. And if you haven't been, this season is going to pull you into paying attention, right? Mercury rules over communication, traveling, and your throat chakra. Hermes is the god of messages and thievery. Eshu is the Orisha that stands at the crossroads of the physical and spiritual realm and gives the initial permission for one to communicate with an Orisha. The Orisha of chance and unpredictability, and assists with herbal medicines, and also known as a trickster. I love Eshu. Wednesday is the day of travel and study. Aventurine, Mika, lavender, lemongrass, and peppermint are good to have on your altar on these days, and just throughout the season of Virgo season, as all of these elements deal with your respiratory system, which is something we have to tap into during the season. Also, your throat chakra deals with the color blue, communication, expression, truth, integrity, originality, and not just communication through your mouth, also telepathy, also communication with spirit, communication with other beings. This also deals with your fifth chakra. 5 is the number of humanity. 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 extremities. It deals with freedom, intelligence, adventure, health. Also associated with Gemini energy and Virgo energy. Colors during this energy are silver, platinum, which deals with intuition as well as being sophisticated, and Carnelian, which deals with energy and creative energy, and Amazonite, which is a stone of abundance. We're dealing with the color gray, which is a light, more feminine color. It deals with intelligence, neutralism, balance, and has been associated with depression at times. So, Grand Rising, welcome to the planetary forecast. We're also dealing with silver, which is an equilibrium with feminine power and spiritual energy. Also deals with wealth, elegance, and this is also the moon goddess candle. Dark green deals with fertility, hope, happiness, change, nature, which is awesome as we start dealing with the harvest moon and planting our seeds. friendship, peace, freedom, empathy, adaptation, believed to cure ailments of the eyes as well. Number 5, Mercury and Venus. White is also a good color for this time. It's good for purity, friendship, mourning, sincerity, charity, truth, innocence, perfection, and morality. Because our Virgos love to think they're perfect, which is why the Kabbalah calls us to learn unconditional love and learn how to love others as they are and learn to love yourself as you are, without the desire to change people. Yeah. I'll get into that later on my therapist couch because I am a Virgo. My sun, moon, Mercury, Venus are all in Virgo. White also deals with the number 7, perfect order, spirituality, amethyst, pearl, and fluorite. Earth is also another energy, which Virgo is associated with. This is the energy of problem solvers, a balanced energy, wise, useful, productive, under Virgo, discernment, courtesy, servitude, practicality. Tarot cards during this time are the Hermit card, which deals with solitude, self-analysis, and contemplation, which is what Virgo energy causes all individuals to do, learn about self-analysis. The King of Pentacles also deals with this energy, and this is a person handling responsibility and love. Capricorn is the initiator, cardinal energy. Taurus is the fixed energy of earth energy, and Virgo energy is the mutable, adaptable energy. And we deal with the transition of summer to fall. We are always preparing for the future, workaholics, materialistic, and pentacles. So that is it as far as the stars go, the tarot readings, the herbalism, druidism, paganism, Wiccan, Kabbalah, the netters, comedic, Chinese. We just went over all of that. Arabic, we just went all over all of that in Virgo energy, and may not have felt like it, but we literally just touched all of it. You're welcome. So now it's time for my favorite part. We are now an hour in. We spent a whole hour on Virgo energy. Now it's time to spend time on talking about the way the actual planets are and what that means for you guys and what kind of energy you can expect during this time. And we can do a little bit of fortune telling during this time as well. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. You ready? I'm ready. Okay, let's do it. So the sun entered Virgo energy in the first house at 5:55 on August 22nd. 5:55. And it's so beautiful that it happened on 5:55 because then I just tell you that 5 is the number for Virgo energy, dealing with humanity, dealing with our 5 fingers, 5 toes, and 5 extremities. So we entered Virgo energy on a stable number of 5:55. So excited about this. And it's into the first house energy. First house is the house of self. So we're dealing with analyzing ourselves, analyzing how well we've done during this year as we come into the full moon cycle, the overall moon cycle, not just the moon cycle in our 13 days. Yashe? And then we enter the second house, where now we're dealing with this analytical energy and we're putting it towards our house of possessions. We are reevaluating our possessions, what makes us feel good, reevaluating our self-esteem, what we find pleasure in, our pleasure-seeking energy. So after you get done evaluating yourself, you're going to evaluate your pleasure, which is a beautiful thing because my Virgo is about to come out. I want y'all to reevaluate money. This shit is terrible. Stop doing this shit. Anyway. And then we come into Libra energy on September 22nd, which is bringing balance. And I'll come into why that is so special momentarily. Mercury, we started off the season in Virgo in the second house. We entered, I don't know why I have a 6P there. We entered the second house on August 22nd as well at 5:55. So while the sun was entering Virgo, Mercury was entering the second house. Mercury has been in Virgo since June. Okay, now I see. So Mercury entered Virgo on August 11th at 5:55. That's fly. So August 11th at 5:55 at a balanced time, because we know 5 deals with Virgo. My notes were a little jumbled. I had to what was I thinking when I wrote this? We entered Virgo in the second, and then we entered the second house on August 22nd at 5:55. So we're definitely doing things at the 5 of the hours. And on August 30th, Mercury has entered Libra energy. So we start off with Mercury being in that communication energy, being analytical in the things that you have learned. Maybe you have taken the time to start reflecting on things that you have learned, things you have communicated, things you have absorbed during the season. I know I have been spending that Mercury and Virgo energy listening to way more podcasters than usual. I have been tapped out of entertainment television. I've actually just tapped back into entertainment television. But I've definitely been dealing with like just wanting to listen to people that are educating me and wanting to be into that. And if you've been paying attention to yourself, you have been tapped into that energy or been like yearning for those kind of educational events and stuff like that. Excuse me. And as we come into Libra energy, we're coming into creating a balance and fairness and starting communicating balances in our lives. We started this in the second house. So we're creating a balance in our possessions, right? We're creating a balance in our self-esteem, turning home back in on things that make us feel good. Maybe we were overindulging, or maybe we weren't indulging enough in things that make us feel good, or maybe we're experiencing a transition that we have to pay attention in those things that make us feel good. But that's what Virgo in the second house is calling us to do. All right. And then we move into the third house on September 12th. When we move into the third house, now we're moving into the house of communication. We're moving into that Gemini energy. So we have Mercury inside of that, the balance, create and balance in our communication. So this is causing you guys to learn how to listen and speak at a balanced level. This is calling you guys to learn how to give and take information at a balanced level. You know, how to communicate and how to share information and how to absorb said information. So it's beautiful that we're walking into that in the beginning of the school year. A lot of you guys who are in conventional education, as well as a lot of you guys that are choosing to pull your kids out of school, whatever you choose to do, it's up to you. But definitely tap into this energy on September 12th as we walk into revamping our communication. And you might find yourself coming back to the drawing board if you've already started homeschooling or educating yourself or creating educational platforms and levels. You might find yourself coming into a transformation on September 12th in this area. Venus, we start off this season in Libra in second house. This has occurred on August 16th. Venus is all about pleasure-seeking energy, right? It's what makes you feel good, what boosts your self-esteem, what do you like to do, what do you look like, and what do you act like when you're feeling good, right? And right now we're looking good and we're feeling good when we feel like a balance is occurring. And I see that everywhere. You guys are fighting for justices and balance. You guys feel good when there's a balance in your relationship, when there's a balance in yourselves, when there's a balance in your higher, lower self. And right now there's definitely a lot of energy going towards recreating that balance and tap into the sun energy while you're paying attention to this Venus energy in Libra. And I also want y'all to pay attention to where Venus is in your natal chart, okay? So, I'll give you an example. My Venus is in Virgo, right? So my Venus is in Virgo, and I learn about my love language as far as I love material things. I love to receive material things. I love to give material things. That is my love language. But it's like and my materialism that I like is different though. Like, a lot of people when they hear materialistic things, they think, name brand clothing, name brand shopping bags, overspending, overconsumption. However, that is true. It can be that. Sorry, my dog is just going around eating things that shouldn't be in his mouth. That is true. It can be that. However, it can be a multitude of things. You might like to manifest art. You might like to, like myself, I like to make jewelry. I like to make clothing. I like to make art. That is my materialism. That's what I like to give people. That's my love language. If I love you, I'm going to write you a poem. I'm going to make you a picture. I'm going to give you some jewelry. I like to materialize things. And I won't lie, I don't feel a balance in my life with what I give to others and how I serve others. My love language is in serving others, and giving to others and materializing. And I don't feel a balance. And right now, Venus overall is in Libra energy, which is saying, all right, it's time to find balance. It's time to create balance in that Virgo Venus that you have. It's time to, start receiving what you give, start accepting what people want to give you and things like that. And I actually had a friend tell me, because I do have a hard time accepting what people give me, because I feel like, I'm a bit of a burden, or I feel like people don't really want to give me these things. They're just saying it because they think that's what they're supposed to say. Or like the help that people want to give me is not what I need or what I want. It's not good enough for me sometimes. So I won't accept it. And I had a friend come up to me and say, how dare you try to make yourself feel better than other people by not accepting their energy when you're out here, always overexerting. It's kind of like saying you're better than other people, which was never directly my intentions at all. But now, being more mindful of that with this Venus and Libra is calling us to, find balance. Now I can meditate on finding better balance with receiving and giving and servitude and things like that. I can provide a better balance in those areas. So I want you guys to tap into what area, what zodiac energy your Venus is in, and that is where this overall energy is calling you to find balance and justice, and figure out if you're giving more than you receive or vice versa. You know what I mean? And if you guys are not tapped into your natal charts, I do natal chart readings. I also do natal chart therapy. I am a therapist, and if you guys need therapy on that level, we can get into that. Moving on. So after on August 30th, we move into the third house. So now we're finding balance. So we were finding balance in our possessions and what makes us feel good. And then we move on to finding balance in our communication. Are we over talking? Are we oversharing? Are we not sharing enough? Are we being quiet in moments where we should be speaking up? Or, we're talking at times where we should be quiet and listen. That's what you want to, those are the questions you want to ask yourself as we move this Libra energy into the third house. And then on September 10th, we are in Scorpio energy. So now that you have sat here and had these conversations with yourself, and you've tapped in and you've talked about balance and wanting balance and needing all these things, now we're going to move into that transformation energy. You're going to find a death and a rebirth. I'm forewarning you right now, around this time, you're going to lose someone. You're going to lose a friend. You're going to lose a family member. You're going to lose a coworker. You're going to lose someone. Nah, it doesn't have to be death, like actual, they're going to die. No, it might be just in a relationship. The relationship will die. The communication won't be the same again. Something's going to change in this area in your life as you start to speak on balance and things, because the Scorpio is going to cause transformation. And whenever there's a transformation, things have to fall off and things have to grow out. You know what I'm saying? So that's, be mindful. I think like around September 10th to the 12th, 13th area time is going to be a trying time for most of you guys. If you are a fire energy, please be careful and be mindful of your energy. Yeah. So moving on, Mars, we start off the season in Virgo in the first house. Mars is like your ambition. It's what triggers you. It's what motivates you. My dog is doing the most right now. It's what makes you feel good. I mean, not feel good. It's what makes you aggressive, passionate, upset. It's not, and also like motivated and like fired up. I love seeing the passion in people. The passion in people excites me. I really do enjoy it. There might be, my Mars is in Gemini, so I'm definitely motivated by other people's passions. I think it's so attractive. I love to listen to men speak about things that they're attracted to, women as well. But we start Mars off in Virgo in the first house. So again, bringing that analytical energy into your ambitions. What has been getting you going? As we come into this full moon cycle, we come into a close. What has been getting you along? What has been pushing you? What has been motivating you, and also what has been triggering you? What has been pissing you off? What hasn't been working? It's time to do that work. It's time to write those notes to yourself. I tell people all the time, you gotta keep a journal. You gotta keep a journal and have these conversations with yourself, because the planet is going to call you to have these conversations with yourself anyway. So if you're tapped in, I want you to write down where these planets are in placement in, and write down the questions that I'm telling you to ask yourself, and actually sit down and ask yourself these questions. We have this in the first house, which is your house of self. Again, coming to yourself and asking yourself these questions. And then on August 28th, we moved into the second house. So now we're moving into our possessions. Now we're questioning, okay, what has been making me feel good? What has been, is that good for me? Is it bad for me? Is it conducive for me? What has been, giving me pleasure? Should I keep indulging in these things? Things like that. Those are questions you want to ask yourself with this Mars in this house. And then we move into Libra energy. So we go from moving from our analytical energy to moving into, now it's time to create a balanced energy. So now we're creating a balance starting on September 14th. Again, coming into that same like week cluster of days, if you will. Mars is going to call you to find a balance in these areas. So you're going to type into that Venus and Scorpio energy saying it's time to make a transformation. My dog is pulling me away. And then you're going to tap into this Mars active energy that's saying we're going to transform into a balance. We're going to create balance. Okay? I'll share. And that's going to be around 7:30 p.m. on September 14th. Jupiter, we tap into Aquarius energy. You know, Jupiter has been a retrograde since May 14th. So we're moving back into closeness with Saturn again in its own way. Jupiter is all about luck and wisdom and tradition. When you tap into where Jupiter is on your personal chart, you will tap into like what area in your life you will receive luck. What area in your life you need to tap into to receive the wisdom that you need, and what area of life you probably will be creating traditions within. And right now it's in the Aquarius energy, so right now we're creating a lot of different social traditions, and we have been, especially in this Philadelphia area. I'm not sure if there's other. I'm so sure there's other areas that are synonymous with what we're doing in Philly, in Jersey, and New York, and Atlanta, and St. Louis. There's so much things that's coming out. Everybody's creating their own traditions, their own wisdoms. We're writing books, writing our books again. We're doing all these things. We're becoming more aware of things that are going on around us, and this is where our luck is going to come into. This is what's going to immortalize us. This is where our traditions come into play, and this is rooted in our 7th house, which is our house of partnerships. So tap into the social energy, creating partners, creating business partners, village partners. A lot of us are coming into creating villages with one another and realigning with our tribes and stuff like that. And this Jupiter energy is definitely calling us to do that. And then on the 28th, we move back into the 6th house, which is a house of work and health. So now that we have created the village, we created the partnerships, we're doing all those things. Now we're back into the house of learning how to implement those partnerships and things into our work life and our health. Start working with people to create health regimens for each other, growing food together, creating medicines together. Just like I said earlier, how we have our youth out here, it's time to create a workforce for our youth, give them things to do, internships, apprenticeships, because we know this school system is going to drop our kids. We've already had to been 10 times or 20 times greater than the Caucasians. Now what do you think is going to happen? And our kids are really falling in the cracks of what's going on in these school systems. They already was falling in the cracks. Now it's really, they don't care. They're saving their own, and you have to learn how to save your own. But that comes from you learning to trust and tapping into the God in you. Stop biting. Saturn is in Aquarius, also in retrograde in the 6th house. So Saturn and Jupiter are coming back in alignment. Like I said, Saturn has been in Aquarius since December. As you guys remember, Saturn and Jupiter were the closest they have ever been between December 17th and 19th. So we had our authoritarian infrastructure, structured energy, our restrictive energy, in alliance with our luck and wisdom and traditional energy. And now we have them coming back into the same zodiac energy of social rebellion. Saturn's restrictive energy is in the social rebellion energy. And as you see, there has been a tug of war with being social and also abiding by the restrictions and the rules and things that keep going above us. And it has been a tug of war, and the tug of war will continue. Saturn will be in Aquarius for the rest of this year, I believe. This is all in the 6th house, which is the house of work and health, which is a wonderful parallel, because now in a lot of these workforce places, in order to stay in the job, you have to get vaccinated. You have to, get tested. You have to do all these things to your health to keep work and a lot of people are choosing to remove themselves from these workplaces, to have a bigger control on their health. And that's a lot of the Saturn and Aquarius and sixth house energy. That's creating this tug of war on y'all. You do what you see fit. You do what the God in you tells you to do. Oh shit. Uranus is in Taurus in the ninth house, and Uranus is also in retrograde. Uranus is like that force, that progressive force that pulls you out of your comfort zone. Like if you've been doing something for a long period of time and it's something that you probably ain't had no business doing, but you ain't want to stop doing it and nobody was going to tell you no, Uranus is the force that's going to tell you no. Uranus is the energy that's like, I'm going to put you in positions where you have no choice but to do what I've been telling you to do. And Uranus right now is in Taurus energy, and Taurus energy is all about self-esteem, right? What makes you feel good? Where do you get your pleasure from? What does your pleasure look like? What do your pinnacles? What does materialism look like to you? Are you chasing pinnacles and things like that? And we have been seeing that. Uranus has been in Taurus since March 5th, 2019, around the time that this whole quarantine thing started. And we had to revamp what made us feel good. We had to revamp how we attain pinnacles. We've also revamped what pinnacles look like. A lot of us are starting to utilize yen. Some of us are going to gold. Some of us are going to silver. Some of us are coming back to bartering. Some of us are saying fuck money altogether. That's what I'm doing. If you guys hear me, where's my tribe? I'm not trying to change anybody that's not a part of my tribe, because I realize that it just like can't nobody change me. I can't change nobody. So it's time for me to just find my tribe. I'm tired of talking to people that don't want to listen to me. Anyway, I'm looking for you. Tell me if you're out there. But Uranus is just calling us to look at all of that, and it's in the ninth house, which is the house of philosophy, our Sagittarius energy. So we're definitely changing our mind frame, our philosophies. We're gaining higher education in this area of life, of being progressive, and just paying attention to how we've been treating our self-esteem and how we've been allowing others to shape and mold what we think should make us happy and what makes us look and feel successful and all that fun stuff in between. You know what I mean? And just to let you know, Uranus will be in Taurus in the ninth house until April 26, 2026. So this progressive energy will stay in this materialistic energy for about 5 more years. We will keep seeing progression in this area of our life. Neptune is in Pisces in the 8th house, which it has been in since January 22nd, 2021. Neptune has been in Pisces since February 4th, 2012. And one time we did a planetary forecast, we tried to look back onto what was happening around that time, and that's when Gaddafi was doing his thing, and it was a few other happenings. If you guys do your research on February 4th, 2012, let me know what y'all come up with. It was also around the time where Obama was coming into his second office and getting acquainted and signing a bunch of executive orders and doing a bunch of stuff as well. So Neptune in Pisces is all about your subconscious, right? That energy of everything past the sixth. It's about your dreams. It's about your intuition. It's about tapping into your spirituality on a special level. And the Pisces energy is about that duality. It's about tapping into your higher, lower self, your spiritual and your sensual, and everything in between. So Neptune is also ruled by Pisces, Pisces by Neptune, vice versa. So to have these two energies, this is all about duality. This is all about tapping into that spiritual self and bringing it down into the physical realm. And this is definitely very, very much important as we are feeling a transformation in that energy. With the 8th house. 8th house deals with transformation. That is the house of rule with Scorpio. It deals with transformation, power, and sex and secrets and all that occult stuff. So a lot of us, a lot of this occult energy is coming out, right? A lot of us that are tapped into a lot of these rituals that, Hollywood has been doing, the government has been doing, historical figures have been engaging into. A lot of that is coming out into the forefront. We're learning about a lot of that. A lot of us are coming into the energy of creating our own occults, whether they be within, the same, energy as Hollywood or within a new energy. I very much talk to another sister, and I enjoy talking to this sister because, like myself, she knows how old she is. And when we talk about, our lives and things like that. And, she says that spirit calls on us to create new energy centers. It's time to create new energy centers. We have been living off of these old energy centers for a very long time, to the point now where we have allowed Hollywood and a bunch of energies in between to shape and mold that energy. Like, a good example would be like the major cities out here are major chakra points of this planet, such as Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta, Miami. It's a reason why we're all drawn to these areas, because these are the chakra centers of the city. And it's also by design that these chakra centers of this planet also have major military units on them. And if you guys don't believe in crystals, that's fine. Just know that there's quartz crystals, obsidian crystals, and all that, all up and down these military buildings. They have crystal grids in their buildings. They have organite science in their buildings. You don't have to believe in it. Just know that people who declare themselves as your enemy does, and they trust the God in them to do the things that they want to do with it. In addition to that, they've created grids with how they build their homes, how they build their city buildings, and the military buildings and stuff on these chakra points on the earth. All of that has been by design to kind of reverse y'all energy. There's cement all on the ground, which blocks you from channeling your ancestors' energy through the dirt, as we would usually walk around grounded outside barefoot. But it's kind of hard to access this energy barefoot outside if there's cement on top of the dirt. And the majority of the grass is the grass that the government has planted, which is not good grass. Ever since I got this dog and I took him outside, I know I can now see how much of the trees and the grass out here is fake, because of how my dog acts and reacts and interacts with it. His reactions and things. And I feel bad because I feel a lot of disappointment coming from him when he's looking for this grass that he needs for whatever ailment that he's looking for. And he'd be over here sneezing, and he'd be looking for a grass to eat that he likes. And all this grass out here ain't real. And to my eye, I don't realize it looks like grass. It's not real grass out here. We're being separated from the chakra points that our ancestors are buried under, with all this cement, with this fake dirt, this turf grass, and these fake ass trees. Is separating us. So we have to migrate from these areas. And I know that we're addicted to these areas because a part of us knows what's underneath. It's like how when animals know that there's something underneath the surface, they want to stay there and keep digging. They become so determined to dig through this to get what's on the other side. Again, another thing, I watch my dog. He's like trying to sniff through the cement. He digs through the dirt. He's trying to find what's on the other side because he can smell it. He could feel it, but it's buried underneath. So it's up to us to either continue to destroy these cities, which, us, how we get upset at our youth, like, why are you guys going out there destroying it? Because spirit knows what needs to be done. And spirit is in our youth, and it's telling them to destroy, which it needs to be done. They have to destroy these buildings. We're sitting inside of square boxes, and it's creating stagnant energy. And then I have so much technology around me right now, but I have organized grids all over my room. I have organized in my paintings. I have them all over to create a balance in my space. However, we should not be in square buildings, period. We should be in round rooms. We should have round thresholds. I don't know if you guys ever walked through a rectangular or a square threshold and forgot why you walked in a room, or your personality changed a little bit, or your attitude changed because you walked through that threshold. Yeah, because you walked through a rectangle instead of a roundness. You felt some of that stagnant energy in the corners. You let it touch you. There is a war on your electromagnetic energy, and everything ain't got to do with like 5 white people sitting around a table. Some of this shit is microbes. You have to know that you're an infinite energy. You have to know that you're also an alien. You have to know that you're a terrestrial being and an extraterrestrial being, because you live on a planet, ET, extraterrestrial. So you have to know who you are so you can understand all the beings and energies that are here to complement you, as well as destroy and destruct you. Okay? And it's not just, like I said, it's not just like 4 or 5 white people sitting around the table. It's not just a bunch of draconian aliens. It's so many things in between. It's microbes that you can't see that are from another planet that live a whole life and probably think they look like big giant monsters or whatever the fuck they think they look like. And they trying to stake claim on your energy, on your aura, on your body. You have to pay attention to all these things. All these things. Everything. Everything. All of it. Anyway. So this Neptune and Pisces is calling us to create a balance, to tap into that spiritual knowledge, tap into the ideas and the knowledge that we are infinite beings, and bring it down into our physical selves to find balance. And we're in that house of transformation. So you are going to transform your duality in this life. You are going to transform your higher and your lower self. And do not be ashamed for realizing you're an artist. This society has taught us that being an artist, oh, that's a dead job. Everybody want to be artists. All you black people want to be rappers. Everybody want to be a DJ. All y'all think y'all dancers. Da, da, da. Western society is pulling you away from what is natural. What is natural? The beings that rule Western society are not natural beings. Okay? They're not natural beings. They are not in tune with naturalness. They are not in tune with what's natural, and they are not in tune with the sun. They are not solar beings. So they don't rise and fall to the waning and the waxing sun and the full sun and the half sun. They are not in tune, which is why they're not going to teach you about the phases of the sun. They're not going to fully teach you about the phases of the moon because they're not in tune with it. They're not. In fact, no, I'm lying. They are in tune with the moon, which is why they teach you the moon, because the moon is not as natural as you think it is. The sun is natural. We are solar beings. Ashe? We are solar beings, and we travel planet to planet. So those things we are not going to get full knowledge of from this entity because they are not natural beings. Their desire is to create artificial things to imitate our items that we have naturally. So a lot of us, there is a theory that the moon was created and is actually a satellite. That is not a far-fetched idea because these are not natural beings. And if we are solar beings and we know when the sun goes down, it's time to go to sleep. And we know when the sun is at its full peak, it's time to go outside and create. And we know when the sun is in its waning position, it's time to start hibernating. And we know that, and we are already in tune with the sun. We did not need the moon. Who needed the moon? The people who could not be in tune with the sun. The people who are hiding from the sun. Do you hear me? I hope so. These individuals also cannot go outside and forage, go outside and take the regular weeds and herbs and flowers that are growing in our backyard and create a medicine that'll help them. They can't do that. Who can do that? Solar beings. Solar beings that are tapped into their own photokinesis to be able to be tapped into this planet, to the plants' photokinesis, to create healing items, whether it be ingested or topical. We are able to do that because we are one, because we have the same melanin system. They have with chlorophyll, we have with melanin. So there is a interconnectedness there with the electrolytes, the electromagnetic energy. There is interconnectedness. And people who are not solar beings cannot do that. So what can they do? They have to create pills and vitamins and medicine and serums and formulas. They breastfeed their children. Their children are not getting what they need to survive in this realm. So what do? They create a formula to give children. Solar beings have fallen. Solar beings have fallen because they stopped trusting the God in them, and they stopped trusting the God in the entities that God has created. They stopped trusting their melanin, so they stopped trusting the chlorophyll. They stopped trusting their melanin, so they stopped trusting the sun's rays. They stopped trusting their melanin, so they stopped trusting electromagnetic energy from the minerals and the vitamins and the stones and the sand and the dirt around them, because they stopped trusting the own God in themselves. So instead of trusting the God in themselves, they have learned to trust in these entities who cannot trust in the God because they are not natural beings. Does that make sense? Keep following. Keep following. This is not about skin. Keep following. Know that we are infinite beings. These people not people, these entities, because it's not just humans around the table. You guys got to remove your mindset from human. You have to remove your mindset from the fact that you're human, because you're not. Move what the eyes have created for us to feel good. Move from that, because that's what Uranus and Taurus is calling us to do. We have utilized our eyes to tap into this Taurus energy too much. We have become Palladians. And if you guys know what Palladians are, that is a constellation from the Taurians. We have been really, really tapped into this Taurus constellation energy. The moon spends most of its time in Scorpio energy, which is all about death and turmoil and violence, and in Taurian energy. That's where the moon, if you pay attention to where the moon is, and we'll get into the moon forecast in a minute, the moon is always in these turmoil energies. Scorpio, Gemini, and Palladian energy. Always in this energy that creates death, turmoil, fear, guilt, all these things, and materialism. That's where the moon is always in. Why? Because this is not a natural entity, needs that energy, that adrenochrome, all those hormones and energy that comes from that, being tapped into those. We look outside and we see the moon and it's orange and it's red, and we're like, oh, yeah, it's red and it's orange and all these colors because it's tapped into those constellations. Those stars in those constellations are red. They're orange. They're blood red. That's all root chakra colors. Don't be impressed by that. We are solar beings. So, moving on from that, we are being transformed in its energy. We are being transformed to stop following behind the whiz behind the curtain that's creating these unnatural things. We're starting to realize that, you guys can get mad at these individuals that are kidnapping people, that are kidnapping these solar beings and taking their organs, and kidnapping these solar beings and sucking up their energy and their infinite selves. We call it hormones, we call it adrenochrome, we call it, aura, we call all these things, but no, you're an infinite being. So there's other cells of you that are not physical, that cannot be seen. And that's what Neptune rules. And there's a lot of energy that has been siphoning that energy that Neptune rules away from you, which is why it's been so easy to keep you docile in fear and following along these unnatural things. Why are you taking vitamins and pills if you can go outside and grab the source? Why are you out here drinking Hawaiian punch and Kool-Aid if you can go outside and eat a fruit or squeeze it hard enough to drink the juices from it? Why are you out here drinking all this water with all these added minerals and stuff on it when you can put the minerals on your body and in your body yourself? These are things that we haven't been paying attention to because we've been indoctrinated by our oppressors in a delightful way, and beautiful commercials where people are dancing and then TV shows and movies where people are eating all this food during seasons where we should be fasting. All these things. Just be mindful. Be mindful, be mindful. But it's all right because Neptune is in Pisces in the 8th house until January 26, 2026. So that being said, your eyes, and everything in between are going to continue to open more and more and more and more. Consciousness is not a plateau of knowledge. To say you're awoke or conscious does not push you to the peak of anything. What that means is you have reached a place where you are not aware that knowledge is necessary. You are now aware that you need more knowledge. You are now aware that a change or transformation needs to occur. You know what I'm saying? So this Neptune in Pisces in the 8th house will still keep calling for those transformations. They're going to call you back to earth. They're going to call you back to your tribes and your villages. They're going to keep calling you to break these generational curses. They're going to keep calling you to remove your children from these unnatural systems, whether it be the birth certificate, the social security number, the education system, these grocery stores, these fast food restaurants, all this stuff. Neptune and Pisces is like, And so is Uranus and Taurus. They're like, no more of this. No more of this for my solar beings. Now, if you still want to join yourself and align yourself with unnatural beings and make their problems your problems, then you go right ahead. Keep screaming about equality and all this stuff that y'all out in the street screaming about. Y'all want to be equal to their karma. Y'all want their karma debts. I don't want their karma debts. I want the karma debt of a solar being who lost their way and fell from being a solar being, because that karmic debt is a debt that I'm willing to pay. And I am paying it by realigning myself and realigning my children. I don't want the karmic debt of an unnatural being that has no business being here to begin with, that has created all these unnatural technologies and methods and resources to stay here. I don't want their karmic debt. I don't want to be equal to them. I don't want to hold hands with them. I just want to coexist with them because their existence is still essential, but it does not have to be integrated with mine. You understand me? And that is a message that, Neptune and Pisces is calling us to convey, to repeat to our solar beings. Otherwise, they too will have inherited the karmic retribution of these unnatural beings because they are still living this unnatural life. And they are, aren't they? They're being forced into these situations. Their children are being forced in these situations. The families are being split up. There's a lot of things going on because these people are adopting this karmic retribution that doesn't belong to them. When all we have to do is come back to God. There are certain beings in this world that can't, because that's not for them. Anyway, moving on. I won't keep going on that. I want to keep going on the planets. So Pluto is another transformation planet. This planet is all about death and rebirth. It's about power. It's about secrets. It's about just like the pendulum swinging. Scorpio energy is all about keeping that pendulum swinging and making it swing in a different way when it's necessary. And right now, Pluto is rooted in Capricorn energy. My chest. Pluto is rooted in Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy is about restrictions, about infrastructure, about authoritarian. When I think of Capricorn energy, I think about like RoboCop type energy. Like, you can think about the United States government. You can think about the Western society. You can think about that auntie or that uncle or that grandmama in your family or that parent, that really hard parent, that abusive, adult in your life. You can think about that teacher in the classroom that's still pinching students or smacking kids' hands or think it's okay. Those Karens in the classroom. You think that these Karens is only outside at barbecues? No, they're teaching your sons and they're teaching your daughters. I've watched growing up many of these Karens teach sons, and the mothers come into the classroom with their belts in their hand, whipping their child in front of the kids because the teacher said boo 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 boo. When in reality, the teacher was having an ego war with the child. You ain't supposed to be indulging in no ego wars with no kid. Learn how to teach a child without it being about your ego and without you triggering their ego, because children are not and don't have those restrictions that adults have. When you're an adult, you know better, right? But I've watched this growing up. And if you've gone to school and you sat in a classroom, so did you. You watched that child get chastised or the fear in his eyes when the teacher said, "Oh, I'm calling da 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 da." You've watched the ego war between students and teachers go on that should not have went on. And at times the teacher should have sat back and been the adult in the situation. We've watched that many times. We've watched the behavioral transformation that happens in a student when they're constantly be treated like a bad child. They become that child that you keep saying that they are, right? I've watched that. I've watched that as a student and I've watched that as a teacher. So this Pluto and Capricorn energy it's like pulling back. It's transforming that energy. It's making the pendulum swing in an opposite way of where it's been. Does that make sense to y'all? The pendulum has been swinging towards these unnatural entities. It's always been in favor of them. They want y'all to go to school, y'all go to school. They want you to have vaccines, y'all have vaccines. They want you to indulge in these scientific experiments, y'all indulge in it. If y'all don't indulge in it, they'll secretly do it. Did you know that these people in the 80s, these entities in the 80s were spraying chemtrails over St. Louis? another energetic chakra on this planet. They covered in chemtrails. These chemtrails have also been covered in other areas. Did you know that in the area of St. Louis, that it was, I mean, not St. Louis, in New Orleans, it was purposely flooded? Another chakra center. You know, did you know that the CDC is in Atlanta? The CDC. This is the company that's in charge of implementing these unnatural remedies to these unnatural illnesses that the CDC also manifests. You see how our chakra centers are being polluted and we're being addicted to it. We have to get out of these areas. But it's all right if you don't want to, because Pluto and Capricorn is going to call you to do it. And it's in the 5th house, which is the house of pleasure, the house of self-esteem, the house of what makes you feel good, the house of indulgence. So all these things that y'all find yourself indulging into, I just want to let y'all know that it's all feeding the monster of that Capricorn energy. Y'all tap into this 5th house, y'all love y'all money. Y'all love y'all material things. Y'all love to indulge in pleasure. Y'all love y'all fast food. Y'all love y'all sugar and y'all sweets. But just know when y'all indulging in these things, you've given your energy to the greater monster in this Capricorn energy. And it's all right because, it's not all right, but it's all right because the transformation is going to happen. This is the karmic retribution right here in this energy. It's revealing power. It's revealing secrets. It's revealing occults. It's making the pendulum swing in these areas. So you guys keep going out there preaching and screaming for equality to these unnatural entities, and you guys are going to get exactly what you're asking for with this Pluto energy. Oh shit. The true node is the path of the moon. It tells us our overdeveloped traits that we need to get in alignment to move forward to our next energy, our next life, whatever. And right now the true node is in Gemini in the 10th house. Gemini energy, what the true node in Gemini energy is bringing to our forefront our communication, right? It's bringing to the forefront our communication skills, how we have been communicating with each other, how we have been teaching and learning. And with the true node is usually an overdeveloped trait. You're either overly communicating out here, you're not listening, you're engaging in communication just to speak, but when other people are speaking, you're not listening, you're just thinking about your next response. You're dibbling and dabbling in every little thing. You're not taking the time to really perfect a craft in something. A lot of you guys want things handed to you. You guys want to be a priestess tomorrow. You guys want to have perfect credit in 24 hours. You guys want to buy a house in a day. You guys are wasting time because this is what Western societies, these unnatural entities have taught you to do. These unnatural entities have taught you that you only have one choice in your life. You can only have one career. You can only have one direction. You can only do one thing. You can only have one house, one car, whatever. And for other of you guys, they have taught you that you can have too many, so many, overabundance, to the point where you're being gluttonous, which is a sin, right? You're overindulgent. And that's what the overabundance in Gemini energy is like. You're overdoing it. You're overdoing it, or you're underdoing it. Either way, a balance needs to be happening. You need to learn how to listen and not to speak and respond. You need to learn how to actually spend time and energy in one craft, because every craft is so infinite. I can learn about herbs forever. Why? Because there's herbs that I've never even seen yet. It's herbs that people who have been herbalists for 10 decades have never seen yet, and the people before them haven't seen it, because the earth is so infinite. Vegetation is so infinite. The things that this vegetation can do is infinite. We haven't even touched all the lands on this planet, and more lands keep popping up and more lands keep going underwater and creating new life. That's how infinite life is on this plane. Feel me? So there's never a time where you're going to reach a peak of intellect in any area, whether it be in yourself or the planets or herbs or minerals or vitamins or animals or fauna or flora or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's infinite. So learn how to not perfect, but learn how to be focused. Because if you're over tapped into this Gemini energy, you do become unfocused, you become fickle, and this does bring an anxiety feeling upon yourself. I know a lot of you guys, as well as myself, deal with anxiety. Anxiety is the result of not being present and patient. That's why I created the abundance song. Be patient, be present. It's coming. It's coming to you. You manifest, you meditate, you do what you're supposed to do. You say what you're supposed to say to yourself. You say what you're supposed to say to the universe. You put the action forward because you believe in the things you say, and be patient and be present because the expanded abundance is coming. It's justice, it's oneness, it's wonders. And we're going to indulge in it. So intentional. I should. But that's what the true north in Gemini in the 10th house. And it's in the 10th house, which is the house of social nature as well as the house of success. So if you learn how to find balance in this Gemini energy, you will be successful. Our ascendant is all over the place all the time, every hour. So if you tap into your hours, you'll know that the ascendant is changing. We started off the season at 5:55 p.m. The ascendant went into Capricorn in the 5th house. So our overall mass was about creating infrastructure. I think around that time, that's when they started talking about people having to get shots by October or whatever bullshit. And, you know, it's in the 5th house, which is the house of pleasure. And it's like all about like, are you still going to stay tapped into, you know, all this, the indulgences of the matrix? Or are you going to allow yourself to exit out the indulgences of the matrix and come back to God? Come back into your own karma. Yeah, but the ascendant changes every 90 minutes. And that's just what we do. We end off the season in Taurus in the 9th house. So our ascendant will be in alignment with Uranus by the end of the season. Our midheaven is in Scorpio in the 3rd house. And then we move on to Capricorn on August 23rd at 10:30 p.m., which is aligned with the ascendant moving into Capricorn. So we would have our midheaven, which is our place of success, in alignment with our ascendant energy, as well as our Pluto energy, all in Capricorn energy, causing a transformation in our structure and our restrictions and things like this. And this is where we will find success. This is in the mask that we're wearing when we're going up against, you know, the man, the machine, a natural entity, etc., and so forth. And there's a lot of transformation energy going towards this, and it's in the 3rd house of communication. So we're talking about it, and we're building upon it, and we're finding pleasure in redefining these structures. Our Lilith is in Gemini in the 10th house in alignment with our true node in Gemini in the 10th house. Our Lilith is our trigger. What turns you on, what pisses you off, whatever you don't like in the Gemini energy is probably, in this Lilith energy is probably because it's a reflection of yourself. I know a lot of us get annoyed when we're talking to people who are not listening to us. A lot of us get annoyed when we can tell in your body language that you're just trying to respond. You're not really listening. A lot of us get annoyed with the unfocused and the fickleness and the people, you know, bailing out on us during things that we have going on, this, that, and the third. And we're getting annoyed by this because this is energy that we're exhibiting to others. Peace, peace. Yes. I'm talking about the Lilith energy in Gemini right now. Welcome to the planetary forecast. And a lot of us get annoyed by this energy, and it's because this is energy that we have within ourselves. So when you start to tap into this true node in Gemini and really start finding balance in your communication and teaching and learning, as well as being patient and being present, you'll be able to find balance in this unfocused energy and this fickle energy and this anxiety energy. And you'll start to develop better communication, tools and techniques. And this will in turn allow you to attract energy of the same walking. Okay. And all this is tapped into the 10th house of success. Chiron is tapped into your overall wellness and well-being. And this is into the Aries energy about taking leadership and initiative and going forth in that passionate leadership and energy and making transformation, because this is rooted in the 8th house. And we have been doing that. A lot of you guys have been very passionate and aggressive about taking charge of your overall wellness, whether it be in you guys teaching people yoga, meditations, you guys, me doing what I do when I hit the stage. A lot of you guys have been channeling and absorbing this energy and just spitting it out to the world around you in that aggressive Aries, taking charge manner. And it's beautiful to see. Again, this 8th house rules over the house of transformation and occult and secret and that pendulum swinging in power. So the power of that overall wellness is definitely coming back to the people that's taking initiative. So if you're taking initiative in your life, you're moving righteously in this realm as far as the planets go. Ceres is all about health, nutrition, agriculture, and fertility. And right now it's in alignment with our Lilith in Gemini and our true node in Gemini in the 10th house. So tapping into start listening to people when they're talking about health. If you guys are already following, I don't even know her name, but there's this goddess that teaches about food pairing. A lot of us are becoming triggered. I see the comments where people are like arguing with her, like, no, 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 I don't believe in this. I don't believe in it. Why? Because we're so well indoctrinated that we don't want to believe that we can't drink and eat certain things together, because that goes away or does away with our things for ourselves. But this Scorpio energy that's causing transformation in our communication and how we absorb what we're teaching and learning. Please tap into this Gemini information and learn how to listen and absorb and learn how to teach yourself instead of coming back into a conversation to be argumentative. Learn and say, okay, you said this. Let me do my research to learn about myself and to see how this resonates with me and how I need to treat myself. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being argumentative with that individual on their self, because you're not listening. You're not listening. You're not finding balance in this Gemini energy. But definitely find that in this health and nutrition area, because if you don't, you're doomed. I'm letting y'all know right now, y'all doomed if y'all don't. If y'all still going out into these fast food restaurants and these places and spaces where these people are serving you guys injected meats, injected vegetables, sprayed upon fruits and vegetables, because you're not taking that initiative and you're not tapping into this Aries in Chiron that's saying take control of your overall health and wellness. Go ahead and feed yourself and learn how to feed yourself. You can go into your backyard right now, and if you have weeds, if you have dandelions, if you have any type of green in your backyard, you have food. And you have to learn how to break down your mentality that taught you that back there is just dirt and grass for the bottom of your sneakers, because it's not. It's medicine back there. So much medicine back there, but you won't pay attention. And for those of you who want to tap into that, know that I'm a certified herbalist, and I will be teaching a night class for you guys to subscribe to. But anyway, coming back to Ceres and Gemini in the 10th house. This is all about your health, your nutrition, your agriculture, and your fertility. So start tapping into these doulas, start tapping into these health eaters, these foragers out here. Start tapping into these people that are all about teaching you about health and nutrition. People that are teaching about agriculture, how to plant things. Saying I don't know is not a response. It's not an acceptable response. Why are you accepting that? If I call customer service and I ask them a question and they say, oh, I don't know, that's not acceptable to me, because you work in this business. You are your own business. So saying I don't know about something about yourself is not acceptable. And you should not be accepting that, because when you are accepting that, you will ultimately be accepting that in others. You're going to be like, why am I around these people that won't listen to me, that won't understand me? These people have been around me for years and they still acting like they don't know. Why? Because you've been around yourself for centuries and you still don't fucking know. So tap into this Aries and Gemini energy, because it's in alignment with Chiron and it's in alignment with the true node in Gemini, and Lilith in Gemini, Ashe. Pallas is in Pisces in the 8th house. So Pallas is our logic, our reasoning, and our intellect, which is in alignment with our Neptune energy, which is all about our subconscious, our dreams, and our secret self, right? So we have these two beautiful dualities sitting in this dual energy of Pisces, which is our two fishes, right? This is calling y'all to find duality in y'all physical, y'all sensual, and y'all spiritual selves. It's time for duality in these energies. A lot of us have walked into the spiritual energy and tried to do away with our physical self. Like your physical self just no longer exists. Y'all no longer want to deal with those issues, deal with, the shadow work that has to be done in that, and and that's not righteous. You can't do that. And I'll tell you, a lot of our people, not all those that are not our skin folk are unnatural beings. And I'll tell you this, a lot of people from those European tribes, they think that because they tapped into what they think or believe to be a crown or third eye chakra without tapping into their root chakra and sacral chakra and doing their shadow work, oh, y'all in for a whole world of hurt. Your third eye and your crown chakra is not going to get y'all where y'all need to be, because y'all still ain't done y'all shadow work with y'all ancestors and with y'all selves and being present. Okay? My European tribes, y'all need to do y'all shadow work. You don't get to run away from your shadow work, just like my melanated souls don't get to run away from their shadow work. We have to do our shadow work as well. is certain areas in our history and time and place where we have fallen, and we are breaking our generational curses, and we are breaking our generational traditional curses within our family, within our workforce, within our education force. We are realizing where we have fallen short because we stopped trusting the God in ourselves, and we are doing the work. And we have to do the work in order for y'all to coexist with us peacefully. Y'all got to do the work as well. Otherwise, there will continue to be chaos. There will continue to be separation. And the separation is only going to get wider and wider. Why? Because you guys are running away from your shadow work, because you think you guys are too good for your shadow work, or you think, oh, it's in the past, it happened already, whatever. No, it's not in the past. Time is not linear. Stop playing with yourselves. This goes out to all of my individuals, no matter what land you are from, what planet you are from. It doesn't matter. We all have shadow work to do. We have all fallen, which is why we are here being present. But that note definitely goes out to my European tribes out there that are thinking that they don't have no shadow work to do because they decided to meditate and appropriate Indian culture. Appropriating Middle Eastern culture does not make you elevated, and it's not shadow work. And then the same thing goes to my solar beings as well. Appropriating Middle Eastern culture, appropriating African culture is not shadow work. It is not breaking generational curses. It's not doing any of that. You have to tap into yourselves and not these energies and entities that Hollywood keeps showing you. It's a reason why certain celebrities will only show you Africa. It's a reason why they're permitted to only show you Africa. It's still moving you away from your proper shadow work. Stop playing with yourselves. Nobody has time for you to play with yourselves. But it's all right, because this logic, this reasoning, and this intellect is incongruent with the subconscious energy of Neptune, and they're all sitting in this dual beautiful energy of Pisces, and they're all in this 8th house of transformation, which is that of Scorpio. So you're going to tap in no matter what. And then on September 9th, 9/9, Pallas will move into the 7th house. And the 7th house is the house of partnerships. So after you get done dealing with all this transformation and this duality and things like that, now it's time to go into your personal relationships, your personal partnerships, and create a balance in those areas, utilizing what you've created in yourself by tapping into this energy. Now, if you don't tap into this energy, when it's planning to go back into the 7th house and you trying to play catch up with the partners, you ain't going to be able to do it. It's still going to be a discord. Why? Because you didn't take the time in to do that with yourself. Keep a journal every day. If you guys want information on your own natal chart, please reach out to me. I do natal chart readings. I also do natal chart therapy. If you are interested in engaging in therapy sessions that are centered around your natal chart, I do that as well. And I'm available to you. But yes, that is something that needs to be done. Juno is our talents in the arts, as well as our wisdom and our methods of defense. How do we defend ourselves? How do we defend our community? How do we defend our tribes? What does it look like, etc.? And right now it's sitting in Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius energy is the energy of the traveler. It's the energy of philosophies. It is the energy of changing your mindset and doing things in a new and different way. Ashe, right? So you're taking your art and you're traveling with it. You're changing your philosophies. And that's what we're doing right now. When I started this video, I was telling y'all, we're all artists and we all need to tap into this art, because this art is healing and this art is what we do. And stop tapping into what Western society told us how we should treat art. It's not a business. It's healing. It's how we align with our tribes, because our art is innately unified. The art that I create is going to unify me to other people of my tribe. The music that I make aligns me with people of my tribe. The paintings that I paint align me with people of my tribe. The jewelry that I make align me with people of my tribe. That's why I'm not for everybody. That's why you're not for everybody. You are for your tribe. When you start putting your art out there, your tribe is going to come to you, and there will be an alignment there. Take it for what it is. These are not customers to your business. This is your tribe. Communicate with these people and create relationships, because it's the reason why they're attracted to your art and you are attracted to them. Okay. So, wisdom. The wisdom comes from you tapping into this energy and defense. Us learning how to defend ourselves is definitely comes with us developing different philosophies on defense altogether. Um, a lot of us have, we've fallen short a lot of the times because our lack of emotional intelligence. We allow our emotions and our feelings to lead the way in all things, which is why a lot of times we have fallen short because there is no God in emotions. Our When we utilize our emotions, we are being invoked. That emotions is a control tool. It's like spirit writing. Something makes you sad. That's why we start changing our vocabulary. Ain't nobody make you sad. Ain't nobody make you mad. Can't nobody make you happy. You have to do that. You have to tap into the God in you and take control of your emotions and stop allowing other things and entities out here to come into your being and invoke that emotion out of you, because that is a control tool. If I make you angry, I can make you act how I want you to act, and which is what a lot of these entities have trained their systems to do. They have trained their systems to invoke emotions from you, whether it be fear, anger, sadness, anxiety, all the intricate labels in between. They tell us to elevate the labels, elevate, your vocabulary, enhance your vocabulary, learn more of our labels, so that when we're trying to invoke them from you, you know which one we're evoking and you can allow us to do it. Nah, that's not what we finna do. So, learn new philosophies about defense, defending yourself, not just on a physical level, but also learning to defend yourself on an emotional level and gain that emotional intelligence we need to navigate through these unnatural entities soundly and safely. A lot of us are not making safe choices because we are allowing ourselves to be emotionally invoked and we think that's righteous, and it's not. And us still lacking emotional intelligence, us, the audience, are watching and praising that lack of emotional intelligence. And it's not okay. That is a karmic debt that we're going to gain. That is not for us to gain if you just trust the God in you and stop allowing yourself to be invoked. And fear. Fear is the biggest invocation that we're allowed to take control of us and our ability to tap into God in ourselves. Y'all don't want to grow your own food. Y'all don't want to build your own village. Y'all don't want to start your own economic system. Y'all don't want to stop paying bills. Y'all don't want to give up money. Y'all don't want to stop paying utility bills. These utility companies are digging up our ancestors and giving our ancestors' bodies away, physical selves away to these companies and scientists and just so they can put pipes in the ground. And you're paying them to do that. To do what? So that you can have light? Who gave you light? God already gave us light. Go to sleep when you're supposed to. Wake up when you're supposed to, when God tells you to. And you won't have to rely on these unnatural things. Because these unnatural things are killing us. Time is not linear. So these people digging up our ancestors' graves is affecting us in the past, the present, and the future. You don't got to listen to me. You can look it up. Anyway, you have to learn how to defend all of those things, all those levels. You have to learn defense on a different level. A lot of us look at different stories like, oh, Black Wall Street, they bombed it. They bombed it. They didn't just physically kill these people. They've also spiritually invoked us in fear with this accident, with this event. And those people even then weren't protecting themselves. They still had karmic retribution. Why? Because they were still moving in money. They still were moving in Western life. They still had their own, but they still were not trusting the God in themselves. In addition to that, they did not trust the God in themselves so well that even after they built what they built, still not in the name of God, they still built what they built in the name of unnatural entities. But not only did they build what they built in unnatural entities, but they tried to integrate it with the unnatural entities for recognition, and still do. There's still tribes of people that as soon as they build something up with the God in them, they say, here, unnatural entity, I need y'all to acknowledge and recognize the fact that I built this in order for me to feel successful. And what is the karmic retribution of that? We call it selling your soul. We call it working 24/7. We call it losing your family and friends. We call it drama coming to you, right? That's what we call it. But call it for what the fuck it is. That's your karmic retribution. Because you're still trusting in these unnatural entities more than you're trusting in the God in you in the God in what God put on this planet for us. Stop building our things based on unnatural beliefs that we have been indoctrinated with, and you will stop worrying about the invocation of fear and all that stuff that invokes that in you. It's a lot of shadow work to do, but it is our shadow work to do. This is what we have to do. Stop going in the streets screaming for equality. I don't want their karmic retribution. I want ours. This is easier to deal with. We only want ours. The fact that we keep building stuff outside of God, that is our karmic retribution. That's why we're in the situation we're in now. We created capitalism. We created all this stuff with the Moorish Empire. We kept going in the mountains, integrating with these people. We kept doing that. We became consumers. We got obsessed with gold. We got obsessed with precious stones and power and all. We did that. We have been dealing with our karmic retribution. So now we have to come back together and fix some things so that we can come back to ourselves and to our tribes. Because we weren't even bartering. We were giving. We didn't have any, we didn't have all this currency and monetary stuff and like that. We created that. We did that. And we tried to oppress it on others. We started creating idolatry. Money is idolatry. I don't know if you guys ever looked at the dollar, but there's idols all over it. You might as well have a gold fucking cow in your house because you work 12 hours. Do you pray for 12 hours? Do you pray to God for 12 hours? Do you meditate within yourself for 12 hours? Do you meditate to your children for 12 hours? Do you read for 12 hours? Do you engage in freestyling, writing for 12? You don't do anything for 12 hours but go to work for money. That's idolatry. Do you go outside and speak to these plants for 12 hours? Do you go outside and protect these animals for 12 hours? Do you go outside and put the carbon back into the dirt for 12 hours? Do you do any of that for 12 hours? No, that's not what you want to do, right? China had the first money, which makes sense as to why they had solar head on and solar law. Yes, and if we get into historically, melanated souls were in China. We were in China. Melanated souls were also engaging in slave trade. We had slaves. We had European slaves, which is why some of these Europeans don't even know why they hate us. They just know it's in their DNA. They come around us and they despise us. Why? Because some of them could probably come from our slaves. We've engaged in all of that. This is our karmic retribution for the things that we've created and we've manifested and we implemented into the world. And it backfired on us. It backfired on us. We can even go back like ages. We can go back ages if y'all just want to go back decades and centuries. We can go back ages to where we've created unnatural beings. We were the first GMO creators. I don't know if you guys know that. There's reasons why like we have so many communities underwater and under stones and stuff like that because we kept dealing with karmic retribution. Oh, too far? Because we kept dealing with karmic retribution. We've created these entities that have in turn tried to enslave us. Same way we're watching these movies where these people create these robots and the robots in turn revolt and try to come back and go against us and things like that. And but it's the same thing. It's still karmic retribution. You know, we may say like, oh, it's like I smacked you, but you smacked me back. But you hit me harder. I didn't hit you as hard as you hit me. It doesn't matter. You still shouldn't have fucking hit me. You should have known better than to hit me because you don't know how hard I'm going to hit you back. So, you know, all of that, that's all of our shadow work that we have to come in terms with. That's why we're so much more engulfed in the materialism and all this shallow shit than the people who actually control it. Because this is our karmic shit. This is our stuff. And we out here, it's like, oh, we want to be equal to y'all. We want to control it. No, I don't want that karma. I'm still trying to get us out of ours. we gotta get up us up out of ours. But we've created these beings. We've created the systems that they're utilizing against us. We've created the mindset that has been utilized against us. And now we have to exit out of these things that we have created, repent, because we was not in tune with God when we created them, and come back to God in that order. And that's what like all this energy is coming towards. And right now, okay, so let's move into Vesta. This is a beautiful transition. Vesta is about your passion, where your passion lies, right? Right now we have this energy, Vesta, sitting in Libra energy in the second house. Libra is about creating balance, creating fairness, balancing the scales. I don't know if you guys are in tune with Queen Cups on YouTube. I follow her. I love her tremendously. She's constantly speaking these past few readings about our need to come into karmic retribution. It's time to move into the energy of Jupiter. However, Saturn still has a hold on us. Why? Because there's karmic debt that we're still not trying to be accountable for. But now that we're in this Virgo energy, which is the last phase of the moon, we are now in this energy where it is time to self-reflect. It's time to reflect on our house of possessions. It's time to reflect on our house of self, our house of communication, and our house of partnership, so that we can move on into the other houses. That's what a lot of this Virgo placement and Libra placement and Capricorn placement is causing us to do. We have to do the karmic work for Saturn to let us go. Like I said, when I talk about Saturn, it's that RoboCop energy, right? It's that slave master energy that's like, nah, these people still owe me. They did all this stuff. They still owe me. But Jupiter is like, all right, let them pay their debt. And once they pay their debt, bring them to me so I can give them what they need to heal from paying this debt. And we have to pay the debt. Y'all think y'all can keep building in sin? You cannot. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep building in sin. The IRS is going to come for that ass. That's your karmic retribution. Want to know why? Because you still want to keep moving in money. You still want to keep moving in capitalism. You still want to keep moving in all this idolatry. So guess what? The IRS is coming after you. The government is coming after you. You're going to jail. All these communities and buildings and all this stuff is getting repossessed. Want to know why? Because you didn't do it righteously. Ashe? You didn't do it righteously. You didn't come to the people that you were supposed to come to get it done through God. You did it through capitalism. You're still doing shit through the unnatural way. You still going through these unnatural. Oh, get an LLC, get a Soul Corp, get this, get that. We even have our own people in our clothing, in our spaces and places, teaching us to stay in this karmic retribution. And y'all following for it. Y'all paying all this money to fall for it. Y'all putting all this energy to fall for it. Trusting the God in you. That's how we're going to get through this. And right now, our Vesta is in this Libra energy in the house of possessions. It's creating balance in our house of possessions. This is a beautiful transition into this energy. Listen, y'all keep building stuff up in this energy. It's going to keep getting taken away from you. You bought that car. You want to know why that car keep breaking down? Because it wasn't for you to have. What does a car fucking do? Besides, it pollutes the air. Use your feet and go where you're supposed to go. It's polluting the air. It's polluting you. It's polluting the plants and the animals around you. It's polluting everything. But you need it, right? You've been convinced that you need it. And every time it breaks down, you over here distraught, crying, and it's hundreds of dollars. It's $1,000. I need new tires. You want to know why your car is putting you through that? Because you're not supposed to have it. And when I speak to y'all, I'm speaking to me too. I don't feel like I'm better than y'all. This is spirit using me. I'm speaking to me too. I got a fucking car. I don't want it no more. I'm tired of paying that car payment. I got a car payment. I fucking hate it. I don't want it. I want to live. I want to open my front space door and look out and see my village. I want to see my kids playing with other people's kids. I want to see my brothers and sisters out here. I want to see like, oh, we already started on a garden. Come out, help us with the animals, help us with the fauna, help us with the flora. Come to the community kitchens, help us cook. There's a library right here. That's what I want to open my door to. I don't want to open my door and get in a car and drive for hours to get to where I gotta go to be near y'all. It makes no sense. It's not coming back to God. That's still sitting in this shit. And your karmic retribution is going to keep coming. Car is going to keep breaking down. You're going to have to keep working extra hours to get it fixed. You're going to have to keep dealing with these repair workers that take advantage of you, that fix something here and tweak something there, so you have to keep coming back. You're going to have to keep dealing with all this stuff. Now, you don't want to call it karmic retribution, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Y'all want to stay at these jobs and keep working for this money? Fine. Go and get that shot. Go and get that shot. Go and let them keep poking at your mucous membrane in your brain. So whenever you're breathing up this pollution, now your membrane has been poked holes in so many times that all that pollution is going straight to your electromagnetic energy up here. What do you think that's doing to your glands? This is the control center. What do you think that's doing to your glands? On top of the fact that these people not only are now being able to poke membranes up here, now they control your gut as well, because they control everything you eat. Your gut controls your brain. Your gut controls everything. So they have a hold up here. They got a hold down here. So what do you have a hold of? Not of God. Why? Because you still out here marching for equality. I need a job too. I need money too. I need a car too. I need politics too. I need all this stuff that y'all got. I don't want what they got. Y'all don't speak for me. We got to get out of this. We got to come back to God. Boom, boom. Just like that. And guess what? If you don't want to create balance in the second house with Vesta, where your passion is lying in you creating balance, we're going to move into Scorpio, the third house. Scorpio is the house of transformation. Transformation, secrets, cults, rebirth, death, all that. So your passion, there's going to be a transformation in that after you create a balance. You think that, oh, I'm going to come back to, all this stuff is going to be so hard. It's going to be so difficult. No, the planets got you. Once you find a balance, the planets is going to shift to that balance. And it's going to turn it into how you obtain power, how you obtain wealth, how you obtain abundance. But you got to change your definition of those things first. You got to go inward and change yourself first in order for the planets to do what they got to do for you. It works just like that. And that is the planetary forecast. And now that we have gone through the planets, and for those of you who are just tapped in, this video will be posted everywhere. The first hour, I only talk about Virgo energy. When we come into the second hour, for the first 20 minutes in the second hour, we talked about the planetary placement. Oh, the whole second hour. Oh, I've been up here for 222. Oh, the whole second hour was on planet placement. And now we're about to get into the celestial happenings. These I kind of just run through, so I won't hold you guys for too much longer. On August 22nd, we have the moon and Jupiter in conjunction and at minimal angle. Just a reminder that they are both in that Aquarius energy of social rebellion. So during that time, it was probably like some type of push or pull with rebellion in that area. Also on 8/22 at 5:55 p.m. is when Virgo energy when the sun entered Virgo energy, as well as when Mercury entered the second house, Virgo energy. August 23rd, the Delta Aquarius ended. These are the comments in Aquarius constellation. The moon and Neptune are in conjunction and at minimal angle into the 24th of August. Reminder that the Neptune is in Pisces, which is all about duality and sensual and spiritual self. So the moon was in tune with that, elevating that energy amongst you all. Perseus shower ends, which is a meteor shower in the Perseus constellation. There is a evening visibility of Mercury. Venus and Parima are in minimal angle. Venus and Parima go into conjunction on the 25th. Parima is actually a bright star in the Virgo constellation. So we have a lot of energy going towards that self-analytical energy, analyzing what feels good to you, your pleasure-seeking senses. Also on August 25th, we have the Kappa Cygnus ending, which is a meteor shower. The Aquarius constellation is opposite of the sun. On August 28th, we have the moon and Uranus in conjunction and minimal angle, knowing that Uranus is in Taurus energy, which is all about self-esteem and transforming and being progressive in what we seek, self-esteem, pleasure, and pentacles in, and the moon was just amplifying that on that day. Alpha Argus begin, which is from the Kes comet. In 83, there was a comet around the sun, and 83 before Christ. I'm sorry, there was a comet around the sun, and now every few years or so, the meteors come closer to the Earth. The last time we had a shower like this was in 2007. On August 29th, the moon and Pleiades are in conjunct in minimal angle. Reminder that the Pleiades is a constellation in the Taurus energy, elevating, our pleasure-seeking senses during that time. And the moon is also furthest from the Earth. On the 30th of August, we deal with the last quarter moon, and the moon and Aldebaran are in minimal angle and conjunction. Aldebaran is also a star from the Taurus constellation, still dealing with pleasure-seeking. Also, August 31st, Juno is at evening visibility. On September 1st, the sundial shows equal standard times. The moon and Teja posterior are in conjunction in minimal angle. Teja posterior is a star from the constellation Gemini. Just to remind you that Gemini is a turmoil constellation. It depends on who you ask. It's the story of the two twins who went around. If you ask someone who admires them, they were doing brave things. Challenging people to duels and all that fun stuff. But if you ask anyone else, they were going around creating havoc and violence all over the place. So that's all about, mindset, thoughtfulness. But this is a constellation of turmoil. Alpha or Argus reached max activity, which is a meteor shower. Ceres is also visible in the morning. On September 2nd, we deal with the evening visibility of Aries. So beginning today, you'll start to see Aries in the evening. Tomorrow's the 3rd. So on September 3rd, the moon and Pollux will be at minimal angle in conjunction, and then the moon and Castor will be in conjunction. The moon, Pollux and Castor are the twin brothers of the Gemini constellation. Again, we're still in that turmoil constellation. Remember I told you earlier that the moon is always in a turmoil constellation. It's almost never in any of these peaceful constellations. It's either in a super materialistic or it's in some type of violent constellation, this moon. So to sit here and say, sir, go back to the beginning of this video when I get done, and it will be on IGTV, also on YouTube and Facebook Live. I want y'all to listen because I'm not going to go back into repeating myself. But Vesta and Spica are in conjunction. Just remind you, Spica is the brightest star in the Virgo constellation, and Vesta is all about your passion. So you're going to find yourself becoming passionate about tapping into this Virgo energy, and hopefully this video helps you do that, becoming analytical and observational about what's going on around you. On September 4th, the moon and Persephone are in minimal angle in conjunction. Persephone deals with the Cancer constellation. Earthshine is now invisible on the moon on September 4th as well. And Venus and Spica are in conjunction. Just to remind you, Venus is about pleasure seeking, and Spica is the brightest star in Virgo constellation. Again, bringing y'all back to that self-awareness and analyzing, our materialism and things like that. So even though there is a energy going towards keeping us in turmoil and violence and materialism, there is an equal opposite energy in the universe trying to keep us along the path. Ashe. September 5th, we deal with Fomalhaut, which will be opposite of the sun. This is another energy bringing us back onto the path. Fomalhaut is a constellation, is a star space within the Pisces constellation. It's actually the brightest star in the southern fish of Pisces. Epsilon Perseus begin, which is another comet shower in the Perseus constellation. The moon and Regulus become in conjunction and as well as in minimal angle. And Regulus is the star in the Leo constellation. The Regulus is the brightest object in the Leo constellation, and it actually consists of 4 stars, which are combined in 2 pairs. Venus and Spica are in minimal angle after being in conjunction the day before. Again, bringing back that analytical energy towards our materialism and our pleasure-seeking selves. Mercury is also becomes at its largest distance from the sun. So on September 5th, it's probably won't want to communicate as much. It'll probably be like a resting day for you guys intellectually. If you find yourself being a hothead or something during that time, I will highly suggest you not engaging in a certain communicative activities during that time on the 5th of September. September 6th, the moon is at the South Pole, is in view. Mercury and Parima are at minimal angle. Mercury, again, rules your logic and decision-making mind, and Virgo, and Parima is actually a star in Virgo. I'm sorry. It is indeed a star in Virgo. It is the goddess of prophecy in Rome. So you'll find like some type of community after that day of rest on the 5th with speaking and things like that. You'll come into yourself having downloads on the 6th. So please rest on the 5th so you can engage in your downloads on the 6th with Mercury and Parima. And then we deal with our new moon. September 7th, we'll deal with the morning visibility of Leo. So you'll find yourself waking up more in that childlike energy of yourself. Go on and hold on to that energy. Moon and Mars are in conjunction in minimal angle. Just a reminder that Mars is actually in Virgo and will be moving into Libra energy in the time to come. So we will have like an expansion in that passionate energy and analyzing, as well as starting to come into creating balance. You know what I'm saying? In addition to that, where was I? I said Mars, right? There will be an evening visibility of the moon. So the moon will start to be more visible during the earlier PM hours, basically what that means. On September 8th, Mercury and Parima will be in conjunction and minimal angle. Again, coming back to Mercury being logic, decision-making mind, and Parima being a star in the Virgo constellation. So those two coming together definitely will be a day of downloads as far as logic, decision-making mind. Definitely get into some freestyle writing, having some important constructive communication with other people, because this will definitely be a super dope energy with Mercury, Parima, and the moon all in conjunction and minimal angle under this Virgo sun. So I suggest if you guys create events, if you're an event creator or an artist, on September 8th is a dope time to have a dinner, an event of any kind where you guys are sitting down and communicating, talking, building. That is a day to do it. September 8th. Don't forget it. Write it down somewhere. The earth shine will be visible on the moon at dusk. So you'll see like a bluish type moon tint, a bluish tint on the moon. Pallas, which is your logic, is going to be opposite the sun during this time as well. And the moon and Mercury will be at minimal angle. So again, coming back to that logic and decision making mind during that time, just being in a really good space. September 9th, 9/9. We'll have Moon and Spica in conjunction in minimal angle. Just to remind you, Spica is the brightest star in Virgo. So we're still dealing with that communication energy. And then the Moon and Venus will be in conjunction. So after we got done tapping into all that spiritual communication and this, that, and the third, now we're coming back into the materialistic self and pleasure-seeking self. So this will be your test. So after from what did I say, like 9/7? Or even 9/6, you can start off at 9/6 when Mercury and Parima are in conjunction and minimal angle. That's when we really start, tapping into this communication, whether it be communication with yourselves, with God, with spirit, with ancestors, with so definitely between 9/6 and 9/9, I would say please coordinate some events that involve sitting down at the table, eating dinner amongst each other, and talking. It is talk time. It's fun to have party events and, all this stuff, but it's time to start having talk time. We have to talk. Because we have to get money out of our businesses. We have to get money out of our spiritual circles. We have to get money out of our businesses. We have to get money out of our healing circles because it's polluting us. I have healers that be online every day. First of all, a healer should not be online every day. But I have healers that are online every day offering tarot readings for 11/11, 22/22, 33/33, to the point where like they're over exhausting themselves. They're taking on all this energy because being a reader, you can only do a certain amount of readings a day and you have to rest for a few days. These people are money hungry because they have to pay their bills. We have to take money away from our healers so our healers can heal and be healed. We have to protect our healers. We have to protect our teachers. Our teachers are tired because they're working for money. And because they're working for the money that they're not getting, they're wearing themselves out. They're falling out of love with teaching. They're getting angry. They're taking it out on the youth. They're falling out of love with their passion and their destiny to be here. We have to take money out of these circles so that our people can do what they got to do. This is our karmic retribution. We have to take money out of these situations. Anyway, moving into that. Yes, do a brunch during that time. It's very, very important. And coming back to the 9-9, the moon and Spica, when you know we're still dealing with the brightest star. Spica is the brightest star in Virgo constellation. And so we're dealing with I'm gonna get into detail with Spica. Spica deals with the ear of grain. That's where the star is in that constellation. It deals with success, riches, the love of art. It has a combined energy of Venus and Mars, which is like the pleasure seeking, but like passionate pleasure seeking. So this star also assists with love. It helps cure the sick and it helps heal the sailors. I came across some really interesting information regarding parents and their children, and how when you're dealing with your children, you're actually dealing with the law on water. Like there's so many play on laws and words words out here. Like it's a really big, strong play on your energies out here. I would like to tap more into that. Maybe a conversation can come from that around this time. Maybe that can come into light with the moon and Spica in conjunction. And then the moon and Venus come into conjunction thereafter. So now we're coming back into pleasure seeking. So hopefully if you guys engage into these conversations when y'all supposed to and share information when y'all supposed to, when it does come time to come back into Venus, that pleasure seeking energy, y'all can do it with a more elevated mind. Um, September 10th, Alpha Argents in, which is a meteor shower that we endure. Epsilon Perseus reaches its max activity, which is part of the Perseus constellation. That is another meteor shower. And then our Southern Taurus, which is another meteor shower that occurs in our Taurus energy begins. So we, coming back into our compilation of retrogrades up into the winter time and our meteor showers into the transition into fall. Moon and Zubin El Janubi are in minimal angle and conjunction. Just to remind y'all, Zubin El Janubi is a star in our Libra constellation, creating the balance, right? You've been struggling lately. September 4th is your birthday. I want you to tap back into this video. The first hour, I talk all about Virgo energy. The second hour, I get into the planetary forecast where each planet is and when they move into certain dates. And right now, I'm getting into the celestial happening. One thing I can tell you around September 4th is the moon and Persepi will be in minimal angle and conjunction. And I believe right now, right around that time, that's where you're naturally at with the moon and Cancer energy and the Cancer constellation. So you're very in debt. You're very tapped into your emotions because you probably deal with the Cancer moon more than anything. And right now, actually, we're exiting the Cancer moon. We were in a Cancer moon yesterday. So if you have been feeling overly emotional and overly emotionally invoked, I want to say do some shadow work with your emotions. Read some things, meditate on some things on emotional intelligence so that you can move forward through certain events and experiences in your life without the emotional invocation, and it'll make it easier for you. I hope that made sense to you. But yes, you are definitely tapping into this moon in Cancer, and the moon is in Cancer right now, and the moon in Cancer was last night when we started to have the tornadoes and things. And also, just to keep you aligned, I do natal tarot readings, and I also provide therapy services. I do 30 to 60-minute therapy sessions once a week in regards to your natal chart. So if you do need therapy, I did go to school for this. If you guys do need my conventional accolades, I went to college. I went to college for psychology and marketing. I also took counseling. I have history in being a school teacher. I have history in being an adult teacher. I do have experience now with homeschooling my children. So I am experienced. I did do teachings. I teach and I counsel. So I'm here for you. Moving on to the to 9/11. 9/11 is a big day for those of you who are not tapped into the local artists. We do have a Virgo artist who is coming out with music on that day on 9/11. At that time, Carnelian Spliffadeliphia. If y'all don't know him, please follow him on all streaming platforms. The moon is the smallest distance to Earth at this time, which is awesome because it'll still be in that balancing energy of that Libra constellation. So it will definitely be a strong pull towards creating certain balances in your life at this time. Pallas is at its max brightness, and we know Pallas is all about logic and decision making. Even if you didn't go to school, so yeah, it's always been in my DNA to be who I am. I'm exactly who I was when I was a child. with like wanting to help people and still wanting to the village. I want everybody to live together, and I'm coming right back into my child self. Um, the moon and the Shuba are at minimal angle in conjunction during this time. Again, the moon has exited out of the energy that we, of elevation, and is coming back into the energy of turmoil. The Shuba deals with assault and mortality, shamelessness. It improves misfortune. This is during the time where your love for other people will be shaken to see how durable it is. The star is located at the head of the Scorpion in the Scorpion constellation, and it deals with the energy of Mars and Saturn. So we're coming back into that violent energy. So if you are a fire or air sign, I say be mindful during this time around 9/11. September 12th, Jupiter and Deneb Algildi will be in conjunction and minimal angle, and Deneb Algildi. Al-Jadi deals with Capricorn energy. This has the combined energy of Saturn and Jupiter, which is like dignified and conservative. The star is located at the tail of the goat in the Capricorn constellation. It deals with happiness. It's also a good time to pay attention to your blood vessels, maybe get some blood work done, and do those nervous meditations and medicines I spoke to you guys about during this time. Yes, and whenever there's an energy in this area, it deals with the prevental of execution of government. So with Jupiter in this area, Jupiter dealing with traditions and luck and wisdom and things like that. This is kind of like in protection of certain governments in order. And I highly, advise you guys, if you do have a government of your own, to go on and tap into that and tap into this energy, because other people who may be moving against you are definitely going to tap into this energy. The moon is going to be on descending node, and then the moon and Graphias are a minimal angle in conjunction. Graphias is actually the Scorpius. We're still in the Scorpius, the constellation. We're dealing with the claws, and this also is the conjunction of Mars and Saturn, energy of restriction and aggressiveness, and just be mindful around this time between the 9, 10, and 11, 12, because after we come out of talking and building and creating balance, it's going to be an equal opposite energy. After you get out of the safe space between like 9/4 to like 9/6, 9/7, 9/9, even if you even go that far, there's going to be an equal opposite energy that begins on 9/11 and is going to drag you out into through the Scorpius constellation of like murder and death and fear and all this stuff. So just like arm yourselves up between 9/5 and 9/7, 9/9. It's a good time to do that. And then the moon in Aries is in minimal angle and conjunction. We're still dealing with that Scorpius constellation, and this is the red and green star. So during this time, you might see like the moon appear like a bright red color. This is the heart of the Scorpion. This deals with the Mars and Jupiter energy. So we're starting to move out of that violent, aggressive energy, still aggressive and stuff, but now we're starting to move into like the softer side of it. Starting to move into luck and wisdom and things of that. It's starting to, come down. But still be mindful of this time, because there can still be a bit of a discord because you're still dealing with all the turmoil that came before that. There will also be an evening visibility of Uranus, and Ceres and Aldebaran will be in conjunction, which is that Taurus energy, and Ceres dealing with your overall health, wealth. September 13th, Neptune will be the smallest distance of Earth, so definitely tap into your spiritual side during this time. Neptune has also reached its max brightness, so you might feel like super, super download, super spiritual moment on September 13th. That's a good time for that. We're also dealing with the first quarter moon. Mercury will be visible in the evening, and Ceres and Aldebaran will be at minimal angle. September 14th, the Neptune will be opposite the sun. So we will have our sun analytical energy on one side, and we'll have our spiritual energy on the other side, and you guys will be in the middle, just observing both of them like the souls that y'all are. And then the moon still doing its thing with Cause Borealis. Cause Borealis is a Sagittarius constellation star, and this deals with Jupiter, and deals with ambition, pride, power, business, and justice. Besieging cities and taking over towns usually happens around this time. So around 9:14, pay attention to the news, pay attention to what's going on. Because if anybody is plotting on taking over a town, taking over any type of entity, it'll probably happen around this time. September 15th, that's my brother's birthday. Palace is the smallest distance to the earth. So your logic, your decision making, wisdom, and all that stuff like that is going to be close to the earth. So tap in, tap in, tap in. You know, plot, plot, plot. Something major might happen on the 14th as far as sieging and taking over. So on the 15th, it's time to, you know, plot your next chess move after that chess move has been made upon a board. Then the moon and Albalda have minimum angle in conjunction. And Albalda also deals with the Sagittarius Cancer. It's located on the back of the head of the Archer and the constellation. And this kind of deals with harvest, game, buildings, and travelers. And then on 9/16, we're dealing with the moon and Pluto and minimal angle in conjunction. We know Pluto is all about transformation and secrets and power. So you got, you know, 9/14 is going to be an initial chess move of sieging. And then the 15th is when we're going to have to come back and use our logic before we make a move back. Okay? And then some traveling might have to occur during this time with utilizing this logic. Again, we talk about how September is the time of the nomads anyway, to get into tune with the transitions that are happening in the weather. And then on 9/16, the moon and Pluto are at minimal angle and conjunction. And that's amplifying the energy of transformation in these restrictions and these infrastructures. And that initial chess move, there might be some transformation in that. And then the moon and Saturn come into conjunction, which is moving into more restrictions and infrastructure and things of that nature. And you're just going to be head on. Just know for every equal energy, it's the equal opposite energy. Then September 17th, we'll have the morning visibility of the moon. Moving on to September 17th, still the moon and Saturn will be at minimum angle, further amplifying whatever restrictions and infrastructure that will be impressed on there. Usually when I do videos like this, people's phones and reception and things will start to mess up. For every energy, there's an equal opposite energy. There's always an opposite energy in play when I put my energy out into the world. So it's all right. This will be on IG Live shortly, as I'm almost finished. On September 20th, the Mars will be furthest from the Earth. So, you know, that aggressive energy will come to a close for a second. You guys will be able to like build your guys self back up, as will, you know, your opposite energy that's fighting against you. On September 21st, you guys were affected by the tornado. Certain parts of this area we literally had a tornado like across the street. But surprisingly, the electric, I think, because like I live in Burlington, so the Delaware River is like literally right here. I think that the tornado was just on the Delaware River because that's how close and how far it seemed. I'm very, very close to the Delaware River. Like I'm literally like 2 to 3 streets over, I think. I can walk down High Street and end up at the river. But yeah, it was a sight to see. But I know some people had a power outage. Surprisingly, we did not. And but more power to you guys. You know, just keep tapping into the God, because soon God is going to, you know, create certain storms and things that are going to destroy this electromagnetic field that we won't walk away from on our own, and we won't have access to it anymore. So this is definitely a time to start coming together, communicating, and building the village, because what we won't do in time will happen anyway. And we will be scrambling, trying to figure out how to do it in that time. Let's do it while we're in our comfort zone still. On September 21st, Mercury and Spica will be in minimal angle. Spica coming back to that brighter star in the Virgo constellation, dealing with success and riches and stuff like that. So now that we have gone through this whole turmoil and this tug and pull, now we're coming into the riches and the light beyond the rainbow beyond the rain, right? In our meteor shower, Epsilon Perseus and the Perseus constellation ends. And then we move on to our last day. The sun will go into Libra energy on September 22nd. And September 22nd is also our autumn equinox, when the night and day will have the same length. So this is a divine alignment that our scales will be balanced with having equal night and day. And that is the summary of our celestial happenings during Virgo season. Now we are going to come into the moon calendar. I really want y'all to tap into the beginning of the second hour of this video, where I really got into depth about the sun versus the moon. Because I can't even fix my tongue to even say it again the way I said it the first time. But let's speed through this, and then we'll be out of here, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. August 22nd, when the sun went into Virgo at 5:55, we had a full moon in Aquarius, which is the moon of new beginnings, which is when we start to plan and our thoughts start to come in and we cleanse and charge. August 23rd, we moved into our Wan and Gibbous moon, which is our moon of introspect, and this is a great time for banishing spells and getting rid of things that no longer serve us. And we came into this in our Pisces energy. On the 26th, we're still in our Wan and Gibbous moon of introspect and Aries, so now we're feeling more passionate about that. And then on the 27th, still in this energy of getting rid of what no longer serves us, but now we're moving into what makes us feel good about it. We're starting to feel good about the decisions of moving things away in that aggressive manner. And also things will be removed away from you in an aggressive manner. So if you felt yourself during this time being pulled away from things, being pushed out of situations, experiences, maybe your home, your job, your family, your relationship, whatever, yeah, that's that banishing energy of the Wan and Gibbous moon and that Aries energy and that Taurus energy. But prior to you even being in those energies, you were in that Pisces energy that was already whispering in your ear that this shit is about to be taken away from you. But if you didn't listen, that Aries and that Aries energy would have heard it, and that Taurus energy would have been difficult to accept thereafter. August 30th, we move into our last quarter moon, which is the moon of releasing and letting go. So after we have gotten done this introspect and we've gone through the cycle with this moon phase, now we move into the moon phase of releasing and letting go things. And we're doing it with that Gemini energy. So we're letting it go with communication. We're letting it go with talking it out, talking to people, releasing energy, tapping into this true node energy of learning how to listen, not to respond, but listen and to absorb. And then on the 31st, we're moving into the Wan and Crescent moon, which is our surrender and rest. We went through all these things. We released and let go of that incident that occurred during those gibbous moon. And now we're surrendering and we're resting during these next few days. And we're still in the Gemini energy of communicating. So you're going to communicate that you're surrendering, you're resting, and, let the wheel of fortune go on. But then September 1st, we had moved into the Cancer moon, which is how we dealt with the tornado. Wasn't that tornado crazy? We had a crazy storm last night. And that was our moon moving into Cancer energy. And if you did not surrender on your own will the day before, and you decide to keep going through with your plans or whatever it is that you want to do, whatever, trust that storm came and washed all that stuff away that you thought you was going to do. Ashe. On September 3rd, we come in, which is tomorrow, we come into the Leo energy as we've been washed away. We've come into the intuition thing. Now we're coming into our childlike energy again, coming back into romance and being playful again with ourselves after the storm. Ashe. Once we, come into building our confidence and coming into ourselves, then we'll start getting into this analytical energy. We'll start paying attention because now we have this surrender energy going into our Virgo energy. So we're still in our Wan and Crescent moon. We have moved from Leo and now we're into Virgo. Paying attention, being analytical. Find balance in this though. Don't be so over judgmental and over critical of yourself or others, especially if you're still holding on to a grudge from what happened when we were in that Wan and Gibbous moon in Aries. Please let that go. Otherwise, you won't be able to fully enjoy and surrender the September 5th to the 6th. I believe someone said they had a birthday around that time on the 4th or the 5th. So yeah, around this time is definitely time to analyze because you just dealt with that Cancer moon. Then we come into we're still in our Virgo moon on the 6th. But now we're in our new moon. So now it's time to analyze and to manifest new things. So if you went through surrendering and letting go the way you were supposed to, now you can come into these new projects the way that you're supposed to with the God in you. How I spoke earlier about us letting go of what's unnatural and coming back to God and doing our karmic retribution. Now we're coming into the smaller moon phase and saying, okay, it's time to, pay attention now. Set our intentions on September 7th as we come into this waxing crescent moon. The waxing crescent moon is all about constructive spells. Speak construct. Be conducive. set your intentions and be intentional with what you do. Pay attention to the details of everything, because the universe will be too, as we will have the sun and the moon both in Virgo on the 7th. Okay. In the 8th, we move into Libra. So after you have, communicated, served, set those intentions, now we're coming into creating a balance. Okay. We're still in that Western crescent moon of being constructive, but now we're constructing a balance. And then we're constructing transformation, as on September 10th, we're going to move into that Scorpio moon, still in Western crescent. On September 13th, we come into our first quarter moon. Our first quarter moon is all about taking action. So now that you have set your intentions and constructed, now it's time to set forth and manifest. We're manifesting with that Sagittarius energy, which I love, 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 love. I'm learning to love it because my Lilith is actually a Sagittarius energy. So I had to learn to love it. Because at first it used to piss me off. But that Sagittarius energy is calling you some opportunities, because the Sagittarius energy is an opportunistic energy. Some opportunities is going to fall into your lap around this area of time. More so is going to come from those conversations that y'all have during this time, that I called y'all to have during this time. Because if y'all remember, when we came into the celestial happenings, I told y'all from 9/6 whatever to 9/9 or whatever, that's when y'all want to start communicating, because around this time, that's when things are really starting to come into fruition, with the moon going back into the Scorpio violent energy and stuff like that. And while that's happening, you guys still have to take action and tap into this fire energy, Sagittarius energy. If you're too tapped in, though, you will become impatient. Remind yourself to be patient and be present. Take a deep breath. Tap into the Gemini energy and the true note that's telling you to slow down when you need to slow down, because it can get too exciting when you're too aligned with the fire energy of Sagittarius energy. But this is a time to take action. Take action. And synonymous with this energy, I want to go back to the celestial happening so y'all know what I'm saying. The Mercury is visible in the evening, so the communication is happening. And then Neptune is the smallest distance to the Earth, so you're very going to be much tapped into that sensual side in the Pisces energy. And Neptune is also reaching its max brightness. So September 13th is the time to take action. Write that down on your calendar right now. Take action, September 13th. That falls on a Monday. And if you guys are in the Philadelphia area, on Mondays is when I host my brain bounces. Well, it's not my brain bounce. I have a sister of mine who owns a store. It's called the Moon Collective Company. She has her brain bounce, and I be there on September 13th. Y'all can catch me there on 5516 Rising Sun Ave. And we can take action in that moment right then and there square. September 15th, we move into our waxing gibbous moon, which is all about refining and honing. So you took action. You might have bumped your elbow during those 2 days. You realized what worked for you, what didn't work for you. So now we're refining, scraping some edges off, cleaning up a little bit of things or whatever with this waxing gibbous moon, right? Also, to remind you guys that Pallas will also be the smallest distance of the Earth. So tap into that logic energy of Pallas with this waxing gibbous moon. On September 18th, we're going to be tapped into that social rebellious energy of Aquarius energy, still refining and honing. So we refining and honing on the structure. Now we're refining and honing on the playful side of things, right? Then September 20th, we come into our full moon of Pisces energy. You guys will be feeling really spicy, really tap into your duality, because we done went through this whole spiel, this whole situation, and we done went through new beginnings. We done let go of things aggressively. We done released and let go and surrendered. We done analyzed. We done set tensions in our analytical energy and set intentions in our balancing energy. And we set intentions in our transformation energy. And we're taking chances and taking action in our philosophical energy. And then we're refining in our Capricorn energy, refining in our social rebellion energy. And now we're coming into the sensual full moon energy, and we're charging up with spirit. 9:20, catch those downloads. Also, to remind you, at 9:20, Mars will be furthest from the Earth, so you will have to deal with that aggressive energy a little bit less than. So this is definitely a time to tap into those downloads. Journal, go and do y'all lives, go on and spread whatever spirit is flowing through you to say. Don't be ashamed to do those things. It's time to do those things. Also, on 9/22, as the sun moves into Libra energy, as we engage in our autumn equinox, when the day and night have the same length, we are moving into our waning gibbous moon in Aries. So y'all are going to move into creating balance with an aggressive, initiative, passionate energy of Aries. Y'all gotta do y'all shadow work. So y'all can come into this and we can greet the beginning of Libra season with the aggressive energy that it needs to be greeted with to create balance, fairness, and justice in our society, because there will be a lot of energy within this moon to keep us in the Scorpio energy and keep us in this Gemini energy in these constellations. It's a difference between zodiac energy and constellations. And I want y'all to study the two. It's also a difference between the houses, the zodiac, and the constellation energies, and not just on a physical self, but on an energetic realm, because all these zodiac energies have different constellations, and all these different constellations have different stars, and all these different stars have different energies, and all that matters. And if you pay attention, the moon is always near the most volatile one, okay? And it's by design. I want y'all to listen to the beginning of this video when I talk about the sun and the moon. I want y'all to do your own research on the sun and the moon, and I want y'all to pay attention. Thank y'all for tuning in for the Virgo season planetary forecast. I did not mean for it to be 3 hours long. When spirit moves, spirit moves. The first hour is all about Virgo season. The second hour of this video is about the planetary placement. The third hour of this video is all about the celestial happenings and the moon calendar during this season. I thank y'all for tapping in. This video is now available on YouTube, Facebook under Less Nobodies, Cosmic Nobodies Convention, Harriet Tubman School for the Gifted, and a couple other pages. And it's also available on now Instagram Live. I'm going to get out of here. I got my own shadow work to do. Just to remind you guys, I do natal chart readings. Y'all can catch me every Monday at the Brain Bounce. Y'all can catch me every Tuesday at the Think Tank. Both of those are located in Philly. I'm ready to sit down and build with y'all. Y'all can also receive therapy sessions from me. I do natal centered therapy sessions. I do have a Calendly app for that. If you guys would like some therapy sessions, we can do that. That's all I have for y'all. Love y'all so much. Y'all stay great, stay enlightened, stay in tune. Do y'all shadow work. And if y'all have European people in y'all family and in y'all tribe, tell them that they need to do their shadow work. Being all love and light is great, but if you're not doing your shadow work, it is in vain, and your love and light is not everything you think it is. Our Caucasian tribes, our European tribes, just as our Aboriginal tribes need to do shadow work, they need to do their shadow work as well, so that we can coexist peacefully and stop this integration in sin. Ashe. I love y'all. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm out of here too. Love y'all.